All right. Yep. So I think we're good to go. I don't know. I started the stream and it immediately crashed. It's this weird thing. For some reason, if I don't stream for a while and then I try streaming, OBS just immediately crashes. So it's weird, but I just want to make sure it didn't affect anything from my end. I don't think it did. I think we're all good. Just want to make sure it's like the same stream with the same thumbnail. Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. Looks all right. I think that's a benefit of this thing where it makes me click to confirm that I'm streaming. So yeah, we're good. So yeah, this is going to be a spoiler live stream. We're just going to talk all about The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, as well as just the Walking Dead franchise in general. Like, you can ask me about anything if you have questions, specifically my opinions on things about the show, or you can just chat away, talk about how you felt about the finale of The Ones Who Live, how you felt about this show as a whole, and we'll just talk about that the whole stream. We're not going to be talking about anything else. So, I mean, if you want to, you can ask questions about other stuff, but I probably won't answer it. So just keep that in mind. So I know some of you who might watch some of my other stuff, you might be interested to know like when's the next reaction for American Horror Story, stuff like that. I'm not going to be going, I'll answer quick questions maybe, but I'm not going to. It's going to be mostly on The Walking Dead. And yes, all sorts of spoilers. So if you haven't seen The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live yet, do not watch this stream unless you don't care about spoilers. Then whatever, you can watch it. But yeah, all spoilers. So I have a lot to talk about. I was gonna do a video reviewing the episode, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about all that in the stream. So let me just do a whole spoiler stream for it. And I think this is something I should do for most shows, just because whenever I do regular live streams, I can't really go into spoilers because I'm always scared I'm going to spoil it for somebody. But if it's a specific stream based on that thing, then obviously people are only going to watch it if they've already seen it, right? So, yeah, I got a lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts. I've had some conversations with people about it already, and obviously a lot of people in my comment section on the recent reactions. So the thumbnail, yeah, honestly, I put that together in like 2 seconds. I just thought it was funny. So I was like, I really don't care to make some like extravagant thumbnail. Let me just put my face on top of Rick and the call today. The finale was the biggest disappointment of television. I wouldn't take it that far. If you watch my reaction, I did have issues with it, but I still liked the episode. Like, I still really enjoyed it. I still had a lot of good things to say about it. And the show as a whole is still fantastic. So I think my disappointment was more based around CRM. And there's a lot of things I want to talk about in this stream because the most common thing I'm being told right now, whether it's in my comments or I'm seeing it on Twitter, a lot of people are saying criticisms towards how CRM ended in quotes, because it's technically not. I'll talk about more about that in a little bit, but in terms of how they finished this specific part of CRM in this episode, I did feel like it was rushed, but a lot of people are saying that you can't really criticize it because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not what the show's about. The show's not about the CRM. The show's about Rick and Michonne. And I personally think that's just an invalid thing to say, because it's like, well, you can say whatever you want, but I'm just saying, like, I don't personally agree, because just because Rick and Michonne are the main focus does not mean we shouldn't care about the villains. It doesn't mean we shouldn't care about how well the villains are written, how well their ending is, because they still are the villains of this series. That's just the case, right? They're not meant to be like, okay, like a Negan type villain where he's gonna have this whole like specific episodes based around just him, which they did that with Negan. But obviously they don't have time to do that with CRM. They're not gonna waste their time doing that. But it doesn't change the fact that I still want there to be more with this group that is going to show how impactful they are and show how threatening they are. And they did that very well in the first few episodes, and I thought it was fantastic. But I feel like that last episode, they suddenly didn't feel like a powerful group anymore. It just felt like such a 180, because you watch the first 2 episodes, it's like, holy shit, the CRM is they're no joke. Like, this is the most threatening thing they've ever come across. And episode 3, they showed that as well. Episode 4 and 5 didn't really have much of CRM, so you can't really say anything about those episodes. I mean, I guess you had Jadis in episode 5, but not the CRM as a whole, really. But then episode 6, yeah, there were some cool scenes here and there. Like I said, I really enjoyed the episode, but CRM did not feel like this threatening thing anymore. It felt like it was that easy for them to kind of take him out in that moment. It was just so convenient for the gas to be right next to them, for, no one to check on them while they're setting the grenades up, even though there's people 2 feet away. And then they had Beale was turned as a walker, making all this noise. There was literally a soldier like 10 feet away from them. No one turns around to see that. I don't know. To me, it was just too convenient. It doesn't ruin the episode. Again, I still really loved it. But all of that just, I don't think worked for me. And I'm going to talk about in the stream what I think I would have preferred, and also where I think they should go from here, because there is definitely places they could go from here that will make up for that. I don't think this necessarily ruins the CRM. There is still more they can do with it. And I will talk about that. So I'm going to read some comments as well, and then I'll go into that because I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. But that was just my thoughts, is just kind of, going over how I felt about that episode. But the episode itself, again, can't say it enough. I still loved it. I loved the reunion at the end with Judith and RJ. That was great. I still loved the way it was shot. Most of the scenes, they were fantastic. I loved little Michonne versus Thorne. Like, all that was great. Don't get me wrong. But what led to it, just the way, how easy it felt like it was for them to take CRM out in terms of the higher ups at that base, I wasn't crazy about that. I think there was definitely ways to do it better. But again, I'll go into that. Gonna read some comments first. Thank you, Alan Plays, for the $10 donation. I really appreciate that. Love your reactions. I do feel out of all the episodes, this was the weakest. I had to suspend my disbelief a bit too much, even for this series. I also don't like he left his hand behind personally. Thank you so much for the donation. And I don't think this was the weakest episode for me. I think episode 5 might have been the weakest for me, or episode 3. 3 and 5 might be my 2 weakest, but episode 6 is probably down there as well. I think 1, 2, and 4 are by far the best. I think most people probably agree on that. I'm not 100% sure. 1, 2, and 4 are the best for me. 6, it was a great episode. It's just, like I said, they had those moments that disappointed me. And the leaving behind his hand thing, I actually had something to say about that in episode 4 as well. It's a thing a lot of movies and TV shows do, and it's one of my least favorite tropes. It's like the whole symbolic trope of, okay, this thing symbolizes a part of me that was bad, so I'm going to get rid of it, right? But like, it's still a useful thing, though. Like, why would you get rid of it? Like, it's what is the term for it? It's like symbolism over realism. That's not, I don't think everyone's ever said that before. That's just a term I'm making up here. But it's like, yes, I understand it's symbolic. He's leaving behind his arm because that resembles who he was as a part of CRM. He got that from CRM. That's why he left it behind. But it's still useful. Like, who cares about the symbolism behind it? It's still useful. Like, you can have cool symbolic things like that without making it just seem unrealistic. Like, I don't think Rick Grimes would leave that behind, how useful that thing was, It's weird. And I felt the same way in episode 4, where Rick and Michonne left behind their CRM gear. Like, I get it. That could also be seen as like, okay, maybe they're trying to not blend in, or they're trying to blend in more with, because maybe it'll be easier for CRM to find them if they have their gear on them. I don't know. But I was saying, like, that gear is still really useful. Like, that'll protect you from walker bites, Like, I would have kept the gear. Like, they kind of just got rid of it and said, let's leave the gear away behind. It's like, but it's useful stuff, though. Like, I understand the symbolism there, but I don't know. That's a very minor complaint on a trope that I feel like a lot of movies and shows do. What do you think about how they ended the CRM? Really rushed and pointless storyline. It ruined any excitement of the universe going forward. So I'm going to reply to this because I have a lot to say about that. I don't think the CRM necessarily has to be over right now, and I'm going to explain what they could do with it going forward. And this really depends if they actually do this, though, because if they don't do this, then yeah, I will agree with you. They wasted the CRM. But the CRM, technically, there's still more out there, right? You think about that base, how many soldiers were there? That was not any more than maybe 200 soldiers, right? We are told to believe that the CRM has like tens of thousands of soldiers, right? I think that's kind of what they were pointing at, right? There was definitely more soldiers in the other communities. They never destroyed Portland either, so Portland's still there. Then, of course, there's hints of the CRM possibly being in France that could possibly be involved with what's going on in the Daryl Dixon show. And even within the Philadelphia place, the CR, like, there's got to be some soldiers there who did believe in General Beale and what he wanted for the world. So what I think they could do is, yes, I know the CRC, the Civic Republic Council, they took over leadership. That's kind of what happened. That doesn't necessarily mean other soldiers won't revolt against that leadership, which I think they should go in that direction where the remnants of Beale's supporters revolt against the CRM and they could have like a CRM civil war and then possibly the revolters they win. And imagine they do win, we get the CRM back. But then again, that would completely take away the impact of what Rick and Michonne actually did. So on one hand, it could work, and on the other hand, it can. But this is my thing, right? That's why I don't like how they end this episode, because they end it in a way where it makes it seem like, oh, the CRM's done for good, right? And obviously, we as fans can theorize, like, okay, no, technically they're probably still out there. But I think they should have made that more clear, right? They shouldn't have made it in this way where it's like, okay, we destroyed CRM. No, because that's how they made it seem, which is why a lot of people are saying exactly what you're saying. But they should have made it play off in a way where it's like, okay, Beale, maybe Beale doesn't even die. Maybe Beale is still out there. But they do take out the gas that was going to be used on Portland. So that is the victory that Rick and Michonne have at this episode. They do destroy the gas, they do save Portland, and they could still return home to their family. But they still know deep down the CRM is still a threat and is still out there and could possibly come up to us one day. And then that could lead into either a season 2 or the whole crossover movie thing that everyone's been talking about that they could do. And that's where CRM is has like a final sort of appearance. And that's when maybe they can take them out for good. And you would have to have the entire Commonwealth come together in order to fight against CRM. And the Commonwealth is like, what, 50,000 plus people? They could definitely get enough soldiers to fight against the CRM. And if you would have this CRM civil war going on, a lot of them would die, right? Which would then put the CRM and Commonwealth on an equal playing field, because a lot of people were saying it wouldn't be an equal battle. Commonwealth would be destroyed by CRM. But if they have a CRM civil war, then it would be more even, because a lot of people will die in that. And then now, boom, you can actually do the Commonwealth versus CRM thing, and it could actually work in a movie. I don't think they should do like 5 seasons of that. I'm just 1 2-hour special event that ends Rick and Michonne's story. That is where they should go from here. And I do think this finale could have done a better job building that up. But I also think the reason they ended it that way is because they're not certain that Rick and Michonne are going to return. And so they end it in a way where, yes, they could never return again, and it would be okay. But they also leave it open for just in case they do want to do more stuff. You know what I mean? Those are like my main thoughts on that episode and kind of, what's going forward. So I want to hear what you guys think about that. Again, love the episode, love the season, love the show. Like, I can't say that enough, because every time I say even just a little bit of criticism about something, people automatically go, "Oh my god, you hated it!" Like, bro, what are you talking about? I loved it. Like, there was someone in my comments on my reaction to the finale being like, "Oh, you turned on this show." It's like, what do you mean I turned on this show, bro? I love it. Like, what do you mean? I don't know. It's just funny. The actor for Herschel said they start filming for season 2 of Dead City on April 8th. Yeah, that's only in a week. Yeah, I did hear about that though. And you'll have a bigger and darker role. I'm curious to see what they do with that. I am curious. I was disappointed with the Walking Dead finale. I was satisfied with this one, although I admit it was rushed. I think the writers did the best they could with the 6 episodes. I do think it would be better with 8 episodes. I do think some of this could have been fleshed out a little bit more, and maybe it would have made it work better. But yeah, like I said, it was. I think the writing was solid all around in the show for the most part. So I'm not too mad. I'm pretty sure The Ones Who Live takes place 6 months after the finale. Well, yeah, probably something like that. I don't know. Do you agree that the cinematography in the series was really good? Felt really cinematic. Yeah, I think it's the most cinematic looking The Walking Dead has ever been. So that's good. The show as a whole, I'd give a 9 out of 10. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10 too. 9 point something. Yeah. It's not a 10 out of 10 for sure, but 9 out of 10 sounds good. I'm glad that Rick reunited with Judith again and finally got to meet RJ, but I wish he reunited with Daryl, but he is still in France at the moment. I do wish that as well, but I also think we could get that in a future crossover event movie. I hope it doesn't happen in the Daryl show. Some people have been saying, oh, that's how Daryl Dixon will end. They'll end season 3 or something with Daryl returning home and having like a scene with Rick, but that wouldn't be a satisfying reunion in my opinion. Having just one little scene at the end of the show where he's like, oh, Rick, you're home. Like, that's not really what I want. I want to see them together in a full project. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be a whole show, just a movie. That's all I'm asking for. One little movie. Do you think Rick should have bit RJ's throat out? Bro, what are you talking about? I was brought to tears at the reunion. I knew the reunion was going to hit hard. I knew it. I'm glad how they handled it. It was good. I mean, actually, I won't say I loved every part of the reunion. I kind of think we should have had Judith's initial reaction to Michonne telling Judith that Rick is here, right? That I think would have been awesome. Because I really hate when they skip over reactions to things. Like, imagine if in my reaction videos I skipped over like the big reaction moments, you know? Like, those are important. Like, obviously, getting to see him is very different than knowing he's alive. And I know Michonne already told Judith like a while ago that he might still be alive, but hearing that he definitely is still alive and I'm with him is very different. And I would have loved to have seen Judith's reaction to that. And I feel like that moment could have been drawn out maybe for at least another 10 to 15 minutes. There was even, I believe, a deleted scene because I've been seeing these images online and behind the scenes images of them sitting down and having a picnic in the field. They skipped over a whole picnic scene, apparently, unless that was just like a thing that the actors were doing. But I don't know. I feel like we should have gotten more there. Like, again, it really ended well, but I could have used another 10, 15 minutes of that. I really could have. It's just so poorly how they ended them and all the fear bullshit we got from episodes 4 to 6. A lot of plot holes that don't make any sense. Rick survived an explosion under a blanket, Thorn 2. So honestly, the thing is like when it comes to realism like that, like the explosion and surviving it, it is hard to believe. But I also acknowledge I'm not a scientist. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't really know if they would have survived that or not. But I do think the show didn't do a good job of making it clear that they could have survived it if that's the case. I think they could have been safer just not having them be that close to the explosion. You know, maybe just have them run further away. You know what I mean? They were like 2 feet away from it, you know? I understand they were under tarp and there was water there, but I don't know if that would save them from it. I don't know. That's just me. Then again, I'm not a scientist. I have no idea. I don't usually harp on criticism like that for the most part. I harp on the overall picture, like the fact that they were able to take down all those people pretty easily. And I do say pretty easily. Like, I really mean that. They really only were trying to take down those higher ups in that one episode, you know? I almost feel like there's definitely something else they could have done. But like I said, still liked how it played out for the most part, just not everything. Yeah, I didn't really mind Beale dying, but I also think he could have lived too. I think I would have preferred that he lived. A lot of people don't want to see any conflict, but that's what makes a good storytelling. Steele, you make a great point there because I have been thinking about this so much for the past day or two, right? When it comes to media, fictional media, whether it's movies, TV shows, even video games in a sense, there are two very different groups of people. I made a tweet about this. If you saw my tweet about this, you know what you know where I'm going already, right? And it's one of the reasons I think sometimes debating this stuff is pointless because I do believe there's two very different groups of people in terms of how you view fictional media. So there is a spectrum there, though. You could be more in the middle. You could be, you know, leading towards one or the other. I don't think I fit exactly into one or two of these groups, but let me explain. So I'm gonna take off this while I do it because it's a little hot in this room. So and I don't think either of these groups are wrong. It's just a different way of viewing media. That's all I'm saying, right? The first group views it almost as like reality in a sense where they don't really care to critique certain writing things or directing. Like, they're watching it to watch these characters that they love and care about win. That is what they want. They're the type of people who, when they're watching The Walking Dead, they do not want their favorite characters to ever die, like ever. And they will be pissed. Even if it works for the story, they will be really pissed off if it happens, right? They are watching this for the characters to win. That is it. They don't care to critique certain things. They just want to make sure their favorite characters are living. They usually don't like villains. They will always be happy with a villain dying because that's just how they view media. They almost view it like it is real. They almost view these characters like their friends. And again, I don't think it's a bad way to view things. When I'm watching something and I'm very immersed into it, that usually does happen. I get very emotional when things happen. I do. So I think that is a valid way of viewing media. But there's that group, and then there's group 2 that almost views it more in an analytical sense where they're viewing it as fiction. They're not viewing these people as real things. So having bad things happen to their favorite characters is completely fine as long as it works for the story. And they are going to be more critical of the writing, most likely, and directing and everything like that. Um, and they will be the type of people who will cheer on villains even sometimes because they know that conflict will be interesting to them. They know that conflict is going to be entertaining, and they do not want to have everything to be too easy for the main characters. I feel like I do lean towards group number two, but I also have and I think either groups can be emotional about the show, but usually the emotions kind of work differently. I do think I'm kind of, in the middle there, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've been seeing so many people saying, like, I can't believe people are disappointed with that finale because how can you be disappointed when Rick and Michonne reunited with Judith and RJ and they won, right? But I feel like these people are forgetting that there's a very different group of people that view fiction differently. Like they don't see the heroes winning and immediately think that's a great thing and that means we can't complain about it. No. Because that's the bare minimum for some people. Like that's not why they're watching these shows. They're not watching the main characters just to win. They want to see conflict. They want to see them go through a lot. And that includes stuff that happens throughout the whole series. They did a great job with that for the most part. Again, I'm not saying they didn't. But let's say this episode did end with them losing. Like I wouldn't see that as a bad thing as long as we were going to get a season 2 and they were going to eventually win in the end. Of course, they should win in the end. But that doesn't necessarily mean that just because they did win, I have to say it was, executed perfectly, because I don't think it was. I think those different groups are like, okay, so for example, Glenn's death, right? I feel like group number 2 would be much happier with Glenn's death because of how great it was for the story. Whereas group number 1 would probably get pissed off at Glenn's death because Glenn was a great character. Everyone loves Glenn, right? So one group would get really pissed off at it, where the other group would be like, well, it works for the story, therefore I'm totally fine with it. And that's how I saw it. Like if Aaron died there, let's remember season 7, Aaron was not that big of a character at that point. He became bigger over time. In season 7, he was the least interesting character on the lineup. If Aaron got the bat by Negan and that was the only character that died there, I would be so disappointed. But there would be a large group of people that would be happy because they'd be like, okay, well, none of my favorites died. It was just Aaron, right? Even though, again, Aaron's a great character. I'm just at that point in the time, he was probably the least favorited character that was on that lineup. So that's just the way I see it. Again, I can see both groups, but I think these groups need to kind of understand, and again, it's a spectrum. These groups need to understand that they just view media differently than each other, and that's okay. That's all right. So sometimes arguing about it, it's like, do we really have to? I don't know, man. But I think that idea has never been more clear to me than it is with this finale, because I feel like those groups are very different, going on there. But again, it's a spectrum. You can really be anywhere on it, And I don't think either way is right or wrong. Got to make that clear. Do you think Daryl season 2 will end with a reunion with Daryl and Rick? If it's the last season of Daryl Dixon, I guess maybe. But again, I don't really want that to happen. I want them to do a crossover movie. Ending scene should have been RJ getting the Glenn treatment. Jesus, bro. What's with all the RJ hate? Why do people hate that little boy? I was very satisfied. Genuinely didn't think we were getting that reunion. Yeah, for me it was if we knew that was going to be the last season, then I would 100% say yeah, we're getting the reunion. But I was honestly thinking we were going to get a season 2, so that's why I didn't think we were going to get it. Love the finale, 9 out of 10. Wish they could kept it be alive. Yeah, that would have been cool. I feel like they should have added an extra 10 minutes for the ending so he could have seen everyone. We would definitely need more than talk. Oh, you mean like, yeah, reunion with everyone else as well. Yeah, I would like that too. There was a lot of characters I would love to see him have a reunion with. I also wanted and some people say this doesn't matter, and I'm like, it does matter though. Like, just because the show's focus is on Rick and Michonne does not mean we can't spend a few minutes talking about other stuff too. I would have loved to have seen Rick and Michonne just talk about what they've been through. Like we've been talking about what Rick's been through, and we talked about what Michonne been through, like in terms of like the scar. That's it, really. But what about like the whispers? Like, how cool would it be to have like a even like 2 minutes where Michonne's just telling Rick about the whispers? Like that would have been awesome. Telling Rick who's died since then. So many characters has died since then. Obviously, Michonne doesn't know everyone who died because she's been gone for a while too. But a lot of people died when she was, when Rick wasn't there. Jesus, Tara, Enid, those are people that Rick knew very well. Sadiq, he would be heartbroken to hear that Sadiq died. The fact that Sadiq died saving Carl's life, like, I don't know. I just think it would have been cool to see that, but very minimal thing. I don't think we necessarily needed it. It would just would have been cool. My one gripe is literally just the fact that Beale died. Yeah, a lot of people were saying that. Series was a 10 out of 10 for me. Easily best Walking Dead in years. I think it was the best Walking Dead in years as well. Yeah, definitely. It's the best Walking Dead since. I think it's the best Walking Dead season since season 9 of the Walking Dead show. I see people talking about RJ's acting, but I mean, he is a kid. Like, I do think they probably could have done another take of that because I do think the way he delivered that wasn't the best, but like, he's a kid, so I'm not going to criticize him for it, but they probably could have done another take or two just to like get, more out of it. But the way I feel about kid actors is a lot of times they don't, um, like obviously they're kids, they're going to get better over time. But then again, I feel like sometimes with kids is like you have to treat them more casually in the moment, like kind of just have it be like a more casual conversation almost. And I feel like they do that with kids all the time because that same kid, like I saw a behind the scenes clip, he was like talking with Andrew Lincoln, like it was like, it very flow very well. Like he's not, he could do a great job with it. It's just I feel like when you have all those cameras on him and all that, it's obviously going to be hard for any kid to deliver it in a way that sounds, that works better, I guess. So I think they maybe could have gone a better way about that. I'm not going to blame the actor for it. He's a 10-year-old. Like that's a stupid thing to criticize. I feel like a kid for, but I can understand critiquing the scene for that and maybe just the way they directed it. Like I said, they could have found another take that maybe was a little bit better. But I'm not going to critique the kid for it. He's what 10? It's just I don't know. I personally wouldn't critique it. I feel like there's an age limit on critiquing kid acting. I feel like, like there's a certain age where it also depends how involved the kid is in acting too. Like, I don't even, does he even want to be an actor? I have no idea. I have no idea if he's in anything else. A lot of kid actors, they're just kind of brought into it by their parents, and especially RJ because he's been there since what 2020, I guess 2019 was it 2020? He's been there for a while, so he was probably really young when he first got into acting in the first place. So I don't know. Like I'm not sure if he actively wants to be an actor. Don't know. But I'd rather that, them working with that than like I'd rather them work with him and find a way to make those scenes work rather than recasting him. Because I don't like recasts like that unless they're necessary. And obviously he doesn't want to return or something. That's different. But like the Herschel actor recast for Dead City, I didn't want them to recast. I liked the kid before. I wanted to see more of him. I'm assuming the kid couldn't return or something. I don't know. I wanted to see a more warlike battle, gun on gun action stuff, not just one simple explosion. I would have liked that too, but it just wouldn't really work in this show because obviously, realistically, Rick and Michonne versus a whole army of soldiers, it just wasn't going to work. But that's why I'm saying it should lead to Rick and Michonne plus the 50,000 plus people in Commonwealth versus CRM. That's what I wanted to lead to. And I guess it's still possible. Again, if they go that whole CRM Civil War route, it's possible. We'll get that someday. But I agree with you. And then when you say that, people get pissed at you. They're like, oh, you just want action. It's like, no, I don't just want action, but who the fuck doesn't want action? It's The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead has so much action in it. Who doesn't want it? Like that's silly to me to, just think that we shouldn't want that, I feel like the way this finale went, it kind of confirms for me that we're probably never going to see an on-screen reunion between Rick and Morgan. Oh shit. Yeah, I forgot about Morgan, man. I want to see Morgan back so badly. Oh, I want to see I want to see him back so bad. I was honestly hoping if there was going to be a season 2, season 1 would end with Morgan and then season 2 would be sort of advertised as the Rick and Michonne and Morgan show. Like that would have been so cool, but well. There's still potential again. Like I said, if they do this movie thing, there's potential. Episode 3 is my least favorite because it was just build up. Episode 5 has some good action and some good story to it, in my opinion. I could see that. I liked episode 3 because it was like the only episode where Rick and Michonne were together at that CRM facility, like the whole episode. And I don't know, there's some cool stuff there. But yeah, definitely one of the weaker episodes, though. Glenn's dumpster had nothing on Rick and Michonne's blanket. That's funny. I still wish they didn't kill Carl in season 8. It would have been good if he was in season 9, 10, 11. I think it would have been better if he was the one in the Ones Who Live finale. I don't know. At this point, I feel like the Carl's death happened so long ago, and I think there was a lot of good things that came from his death. So I can't really say that like I I I don't know. It's really hard to see what the show would have been like without it because I don't think they would have done RJ. If Carl never died, I don't think they would have done RJ. I don't think they would have done that. I also I'm not saying Rick and Michonne wouldn't have worked out just the same as they did, but I do think their relationship grew and was even stronger due to the loss that they had. Like they lost, the most important person in their life at that point. Like that's huge, So I really do think it made their relationship more impactful and more interesting. Um, so there's positives to it. I understand overall, I wasn't happy about them killing off Carl either, but I kind of grew to being okay with it, and it honestly worked out fine in my opinion. You still have Judith and RJ there. They still replaced the storyline with Henry in season 9. I don't know. I didn't need to see more Carl, but I know I'm in the minority there. I know a lot of people, that's like their biggest complaint with the Walking Dead series is the Carl thing. One thing I haven't seen mentioned too much, the editing in this episode was really well done. Yeah, it had really great editing. This is the first time I think they've done a really good job with flashbacks, archive footage. Yeah, no, the editing in the show was fantastic. All 6 episodes. I don't think there was a single point it didn't work for me. On another note, I feel like as good as this show was, it had a lot of the Fear the Walking Dead writing issues. So I don't think I had Fear the Walking Dead writing issues necessarily, but I do think some of the scenes in episode 5 felt like some Fear the Walking Dead shit. Specifically with the scene in the cabin when like there was one part where Jadis was like shooting a gun at Michonne and Rick, and Michonne and Rick were like walking away, like they had no hurry in the world. I know they were slightly injured at that point, but like they were like walking away from being shot at by Jadis. It just felt like a clunky scene in that sense. I think I mentioned that in my reaction. I said that the one scene in the episode felt a little clunky, and it was that scene, which was kind of what Fear the Walking Dead usually does. So his whole situation with the walkers could have been avoided if he had a military grade steel fist with a hidden blade. Yeah, he really should have kept that thing. Have you seen the deleted scene on Kaylee's Instagram account? I think I just talked about that, the picnic thing. Where does The Walking Dead rank in the other Walking Dead seasons? So I might do a video for that, but currently I'll just tell you it's probably like, so there's 25 Walking Dead seasons in the entire Walking Dead universe, right? Including all the shows. It'd probably rank in the top like 7 or 6 or something like that. Like it's not top 5. It's definitely not top 5, but 6, 7, or 8. Somewhere around there, I think works for me. I think if episode 6 hit the landing a little bit better, it would have been top 5 possibly, but it's also hard to compare because it's 6 seasons versus Walking Dead usually doing 16 episodes, or it's 6 episodes versus The Walking Dead's usual 16 episodes. I felt like the power of their love and they can do anything get too cartoonish and cheesy by the end. See, I don't mind them saying that, like, as just a way to build confidence, like, oh, we can do anything, like, that's fine. But the fact that they actually go through with the fact that they can do anything is just like, okay, that's a bit much. Like, because they really could do anything in that episode. I was like, all right, come on. But I don't mind them saying it. I think it is just more of a confidence booster, more than anything. So they also showed the Commonwealth train. Yeah, wasn't that? It was something on one of the boards, right? I think it was. Because I do think Lance was one of those spies or something. I believe he was working with CRM secretly and just not telling Commonwealth, which is why, like, they could have set up the perfect Commonwealth versus CRM plot right there, man. Perfect. They would find out. They'd be like, CRM would be like, yo, Commonwealth, or they would try to contact Lance, and then Lance wouldn't answer, and they'd go check it out, and then they'd realize, oh, Lance is dead, and then eventually they'd do something about it. Like, they could do so much, man, but I don't know. That's why I'm so disappointed that I feel like this was the end of the CRM. Again, they could make it so that's not the case, but I just don't know if they are, The way they end this episode made it seem like, oh, the CRM's good now. They're giving supplies to everyone. But like I said, if they can do that CRM Civil War, then maybe they'll make it work. I don't know. The thing is, Rick and Michonne was never going to blow up the base. The thing is, Rick and Michonne was never going to blow up the base in the first place. They were going to get the dossier and the briefing and expose the serum to all the people and get them to turn. Yeah, but Michonne saw that Portland was going to be destroyed, so exposing them wouldn't have worked. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I do like them doing that, and saving Portland basically. Um, but I kind of wish that like they made it clear that that was their only win was destroying Portland, and maybe they are able to expose them, but they're still they make it clear that there's a lot of other CRM soldiers out there. Like what basically everyone's saying right now, and I do kind of agree that yes, they could still do more with this CRM, but they should have made that clear. They made it seem like CRM is done for and that everyone is good in CRM now, right? And I know when we think about it, we're like, okay, that's not the case. But that's just not the way they delivered it at all. They delivered it like, oh, CRM's good again. Or not again, but good now. And obviously that's hard to believe considering there's gonna be people who are gonna revolt against it for sure. And I guess we'll have to see. Did we actually see Thorne die? I don't I mean she got stabbed, but I guess she technically didn't die. I don't know. I feel like she probably did die. I don't know. They could bring some random high-ranking member who randomly survived the explosion to go after Rick and Michonne. So I believe Beale's son could be that person. I forget World Beyond. Beale's son's still alive, right? I haven't watched it since it first came out. I don't think Beale's son ever died. But I guess they could have him be the one who leads a revolt against um, the others. Oh, by the way, this is something that I wanted to happen so badly. I mentioned in my reaction, and I'm so pissed they didn't do it. And I know maybe it wouldn't have made sense. Not in terms of it would have made sense. I'm just saying maybe it wouldn't have worked because it would have been oddly placed. But I wanted so badly for that person in the elevator to be Heath, and I honestly thought it was Heath. I saw the face. I was like, is that fucking Heath? And then Rick kills him, and I'm like, okay, it's not Heath. But like, how cool that is. His things get ripped off, and I know Rick and Heath didn't have that many moments together, right? So like, Rick's first thought would be like, wait, do I know you? Like, I feel like that'd be so fucking fun. The show already has had a lot of comedy to it. Like, what's one more funny scene? Like being like, oh shit, this is Heath. And maybe Heath's like, because I don't want another Morales moment. I wouldn't want it to be like Morales where like he's just like, oh, I'm different now. That was a long time ago. And then he just still tries to kill Rick. I feel like it would have been cool if he even like, I don't know. See, here's the thing. If you want to do all this, you have to have more than 6 episodes, I feel like, because now it's starting to get like there's a lot of stuff going on here. I feel like that sort of moment, you would have to have dealt with it for longer. You couldn't just have him be like, oh shit, that's Heath. And then like, there's going to be more scenes going from there, right? He's not just going to suddenly help them. So it's going to cause conflict between them. But like, that would have been interesting to see. And I mean, I know Heath wasn't a big character, but like, I wanted to see him, bro. Like, we know he's at CRM. He has to be there, right? And if not, then I don't know. I'm telling you, man, that would have been cool. But again, you probably need more episodes if you want to flesh that out. But I just thought that would have been cool. Or maybe he like killed him and then so he kills him, not with smashing in his face though, because weren't gonna be able to tell who it was. Maybe he like stabs him or something, and he's about to die. He's about to die, and then he takes off the helmet and realizes it's Heath. And he's like, "Fuck, I know you." Like he's like, and then Heath's like, "Rick," like, and then he just dies. That could have worked too, because I don't need Heath to come back as this like main character or anything, because again, he wasn't that big of a character to begin with. But that would have just been like the biggest fan service ever. That would have actually worked and would have given Rick this moment of like, oh fuck, like, you know what I mean? like I don't know. Personally, I think that would have been cool. I'm sorry. That would have been cool. Just randomly thought about that in my head. Walker Beale setting off the bombs was such a phenomenal scene. The poetic justice of the soldiers getting gassed by their own leader. Yep, I think that's perfect. Yep. I just do think it was convenient. Like, why was the gas 2 feet away from their like ceremony? Like, yeah, it should be obviously it's going to be at their base because they're going to use it at Portland. But like, I feel like stuff like that, you keep it like, you keep it somewhere that's not 2 feet away from everyone. Like that's a pretty big base. The base was huge. They could have put it anywhere, but they just stack it up right there. It's like, all right, come on. Too convenient. But then again, I don't care. It was a cool scene. I do agree. I don't think that'll happen since there's no characters we know attached to CRM now. I'm assuming you're responding to when I was talking about the CRM Civil War. I'm not saying the CRM Civil War would happen in its own movie. I'm saying it would happen off screen, and then our characters from Commonwealth would get involved in it somehow. That's what happened. And I think that could work because you would assume that the CRM remnants are going to try to investigate what the hell happened at that base. How did everyone just suddenly die? And they could track it back to Rick and Michonne somehow. I don't know how, but they can track it back to Rick and Michonne, track it back to Alexandria, track it back to Commonwealth. And then they go there while also starting a CRM civil war. And then that gets everyone involved, right? And it's this whole big battle now. And I think that would be awesome. I think it would be awesome. Just saying. Would be really cool. Like, I mean, just think about that. How fucking threatening that would be if we have this whole, like, movie and it's just like, it starts off just kind of like everyone's chilling at Commonwealth having a good time. And it starts off with CRM just like demolishing a large part of Commonwealth. Remember, Commonwealth's a big ass city. Like, it is bigger than I think the show gave it credit for. It's supposed to be a lot bigger than what the show shows. But so they wouldn't kill everyone, but they would kill a lot of people, destroy a lot of it. And again, it's not going to be the CRC doing this. This will be the CRM remnants after a civil war has already started. And then Rick and the group have to retaliate and they get involved. And I think that would be a perfect way to end the final season of, or the final, that'd be the perfect way to end these characters, I guess, at that point. Hell, you could involve the Fear the Walking Dead characters, have them end up at Commonwealth somehow at some point. You know, why not? I don't see why not. Like, to me, that's the way you should end this franchise. Don't end it with everyone separately. End it with everyone together, you know? And no, Rick and Michonne should never die. Like, in this ideal movie, no, Rick and Michonne should not die. They got their happy ending. Of course, I want their happy ending to stay that way. The only main character I would want to die in that crossover movie is Negan. I'm not even kidding. I think Negan should die. Negan's an amazing character, but if they're going to end the franchise anyways, have Negan end his entire arc saving someone. I don't know. Have him save Maggie. Have him save Herschel. Something like that. You know, have him go out in a blaze of glory, saving everyone, and that to me would be fitting for him, you know? Rick gets to see that. Rick's reunion with Negan is getting to see how much he's changed and the fact that he's willing to sacrifice his life to save a community of people. Like, that would be fucking amazing, you know? Maybe it would be too much for a movie. Maybe they would have to do it in a show, but I don't know. I think it would be perfect in a movie. You know, you don't have to drag it out. Just do one more event movie. Everyone's there, everyone who is alive at that point, and boom, there you go. I feel like there's more to CRM because Silas from World Beyond was starting an army against the CRM at the end of World Beyond, so I think we have see more of him. Yeah, that too. They didn't really do anything with that, and I didn't think they were gonna do anything with that, but it would have been cool to see more with that. I don't know. All I know is if they do more of this CRM stuff, like, please get good writers on it. Like, get the same writers from The Ones Who Live. I do not want to see. No offense to The World Beyond. I don't want to see those. I know Scott Gimple helped a little bit on that show, but I don't think he did all of it because, I mean, the writing difference is very different from this and that show. And I know obviously Denai Guerrera and Andy Lincoln helped on the show too with writing. But like, you just need good writers. That's all I need. No, do not get people who just don't know how to write, please, because it's. I don't want more World Beyond and Tales of the Walking Dead stuff. It's, you know, that wouldn't be too fun. I always thought the fate of the show continuing depended on if Andrew Lincoln wanted to keep filming. There's for sure a lot of ways they can go. Yeah, that's true. What if Rick sticks to his promise in season 7 and kills Negan? No. All of that for nothing, bro. No. It literally kept Negan alive for nothing. The way I see it, if you only watch the main Walking Dead show, you'd be happy with this ending. I don't even know about that because I didn't even like World Beyond that much. I just, yeah, obviously they showed off CRM and I thought CRM was a cool group, but I feel like my issue was literally just the group wasn't as threatening as I felt like they were in the first 2 episodes. It almost reminds me of the Whispers. The Whispers were like so scary in season 9. They were this terrifying group and I was like, oh my God, like this is insane. Like this is just going to be the craziest group ever. And then in season 10, I feel like they're not that hard to fight. Like except for that one part at Hilltop when they attack, I feel like most of the time they're not that hard to fight against. And it's kind of just like whatever. The main threat there was their horde, you know, but them themselves, I felt like they didn't kill a lot of people. There wasn't like the threat didn't feel like it was there anymore, you know. But I do think CRM was built up to be a very threatening group, and they were for the majority of this show. They really were. I just feel like the last episode, I don't know. I was just like, I don't feel it anymore. Even though what they were revealing, like that conversation with Rick and Beale was phenomenal. And I was so like, oh my God, this is insane. And it adds so much complexity to this whole show. But for that to kind of just end right after, I was like, eh. Again, it depends if they want to actually end Serum or not. I don't know what they got planned. I have no idea what's going on in Scott Gimple's mind. I don't know. They could have a lot of plans and we have no idea about. I'm definitely going to hold off judgment on that, but I'm just purely judging what I saw. That's all I can do. People go to extremes when they hear just a bit of criticism. Yeah, that does happen. It's unfortunate. I mean, I used to be like that, to be honest, when I was a kid. If I heard any criticism towards The Walking Dead, I would get so mad and be like, what did you say? What did you say? Like, nah, come on. Like, but people gotta chill. Like, it's okay when we disagree on things. It's all fine. I forgot, was it supposed to be a movie at first or movie trilogy? They said movie trilogy, so I'm assuming they just turned that movie trilogy into this 6-episode show. Most people don't understand that The Ones Who Live is a love story, even though it sounds corny as fuck. So I keep hearing that, but I don't think that's really a proper rebuttal to people critiquing the CRM stuff, though. Like, just because it's a love story doesn't mean we can't critique the fact that the villainous group just didn't have a properly good closure to this episode. You know what I mean? That's like saying, like, think of any romance movie. There's other elements of those movies, though. Like, the romance is clearly not the only part of this show, regardless of that being the most important aspect of it. It is not the only part of the show, though. They have so many other things going on. And if that wasn't the case, why even bother focusing on it? Why spend the whole first episode focusing so significantly on the CRM? You know, obviously it has to do with Rick and how it affects him. And yes, it does affect Michonne and their relationship. But there's little bits and pieces that they could have skipped over. Because at the end of the day, it was just a love story. Then why even bother with those little bits and pieces? Just get to the point, right? But I do think those little bits and pieces are important. The stuff Beale was revealing about the world, the fact that they have this analysis that the world is supposed to end in 14 years. There's gonna be no more people, apparently. Like, that's huge. There's more. It's more than just a love story. Yes, that is the most important aspect of it, but that doesn't mean criticism about any other part of the show is suddenly invalid because it's a love story. I personally find that to be, I don't know, a lot of people have been saying that. I think it's kind of dismissive. It's like, nah, like, I understand that, but every element of the show is important. It's not just the romance. The romance being the most important thing does not change that. That's kind of what I'm saying. We should have seen Rick return to Alexandria. Yeah, they don't have the set anymore. I wish they did, because that is sad. We're never going to see Alexandria again. If we do see anything again, it's going to be at Commonwealth, because Commonwealth is such a big place that they don't even need the same set they had from the they don't need the same set that they had from season 11, because they can just shoot in a different area of Commonwealth and just call it Commonwealth. No one will question it, because Commonwealth is supposed to be really huge, you know? But yeah, it is a shame we're never going to see Alexandria again. I guess they could technically if they get the set again, but they're not going to do all that. The finale was so rushed, no one can convince me otherwise. I do agree. But I'm also, like I said, I still liked it, though. I liked the episode. How would have you wrote the finale? All right, so I talked about what I think they should go from here, but if I was in charge of that finale, and let's assume season 2 is not going to happen. I think I kind of talked about this before. Let's assume season 2 is not going to happen. And let's assume episode 5 and everything leading up to it was the exact same, and I had to write the finale just from there, right? What would I do? I would write it pretty similarly. I would have just made it the plan a bit different. I'm not going to go into too specifics because, I would have to sit down and think about that for a while. But in terms of Rick and Michonne getting a victory, they should have gotten a victory. I'm glad they did, but it should have been a bit different. It should have been very clear that not a significant amount of the Serum higher-ups are there. I know it's the whole summit thing. I know there's supposed to be a lot of them there, but make it clear that there's a lot of others still at other places. So they're not all there, right? And have it be so Rick and Michonne get the information they needed. They are going to go expose them. That's their plan. But they find out about the Portland thing, and so that's what they do. They destroy the gas, and not in the same way, because again, I do think the way they execute it was a bit sloppy. execute it in a way where they do destroy the gas, they do kill a bunch of CRM soldiers, maybe have it be a little bit more, like I said, like someone said, like a shootout, but not them against, 100 something people, because that wouldn't be realistic. You'd have to make it so most of them die, but maybe some of them live, and then they have a little shootout against them. Have Rick have a badass moment where he gets to kill a couple more people. I always want to see Rick kill people. It's always entertaining. And they get away all the same. Like, that all still plays out the same way. It's just not all of them are dying. You don't have it being written off as, oh, the CRM has changed. And you don't have this quick transition to, the CRM voiceover or CRC voiceover of them being like, oh, CRC has taken leadership now, right? I wouldn't have rushed all that. I would not have gone that far at all. It would have just been, we stopped Portland from being destroyed. That is good. We saved a lot of lives. CRM is still going to be a problem, but we want to go home first to see our damn kids, right? And, okay, no, actually, see, that's why it gets confusing, because now it's like, okay, you kind of have to get them to go home, because you have to get them to go to CRM first, because they need to stop that from happening before they could. Okay, so maybe they do go to the Philadelphia base first, and then they expose it, but we should actually get to see what they do there, how they deliver it, because them doing the voiceover, I feel like, was too quick. And maybe don't do the whole voiceover where the serum has officially changed, but maybe you have a character say, we're gonna show this, we're gonna try to help, and we're gonna try to fix things here. And that's all Rick and Michonne need to hear. All they need to hear is that, yes, we are going to do something, and we will do it. We don't have this voiceover where suddenly CRM is good now, right? But we do have confirmation that they're gonna get this, they're gonna expose this out to people, and we're gonna try our best, right? So Rick and Michonne hear that and think to themselves, okay, we did what we could do. We can't do much more. They can handle the rest. Let's go home to our kids. And we still get the reunion. We still get all of that. But then they give us a little teaser at the end, which showcases that a CRM civil war is going to happen, because you're going to have people who are going to revolt against what the CRC is trying to do, trying to take over leadership. And that teases that that's going to happen, and maybe teases an involvement with Commonwealth. Maybe Beale's son is revealed. Maybe you could kill off Beale still, but Beale's son is revealed to find information that might lead them to Alexandria or Commonwealth. And boom, end it like that. You don't have to do a season 2. You don't have to do more than 6 episodes, but you ended it in a way that feels more complete, while also teasing that the CRM is still going to be a conflict. They are not done. That's all I needed. Honestly, that's all I would have needed, and I would have been happy. That is literally all I would have needed. And then, of course, you would need to do a movie next to finish that storyline. That's all. That's all. That is all. Literally all I would need. Or maybe a season 2, and then have the season 2 be that as well. But I think a movie would be easier, because I don't think you need 6 episodes of it. I literally just do a movie. I don't know. That's all I want. But that's how I would have written the finale, personally. And as you can see, I didn't say something that was that different than what happened. It's just more in the execution of it. That's all I needed. We should have gotten additional reunions. Yeah, people are talking about this, but I think all that could happen in a movie. That's why I want to see that, He had his comic prosthetic for that deleted pic. Yeah, I saw that. He did have the comic prosthetic, which is cool fan service for comic fans. People said in an interview that after the final episode, this is not the last time we'll see Rick and Michonne. Yeah, I think I saw that, but I don't know if he was like necessarily confirming that's the case, or I think he was more so saying that he wants there to be more Rick and Michonne. He thinks there should be. But again, it depends if Andy and Denai want to continue, I hope they do. If you're not a scientist, you could come to the CRM and learn some science. It's a good place, man. There's so many things that I knew people would be complaining about, but I personally couldn't give a shit. I was enjoying it. I couldn't care less about perfect realism. That's fine. That's fine. Like I said, people view media differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. Who's your favorite original character that was in the show? Me personally, I think Okafor was the best. I like Nat as well. I'd probably say Nat. Nat and then Okafor. What do you think about the hate on RJ? I think I just talked about it before. I don't really know. It depends on what people mean by hate, because I feel like most people who are talking are just like fucking around. I don't like person who said that Rick should have bitten his throat out. I was like, all right, I think that person was just fucking around. I don't think they're being serious. You just explained to us who the A's and B's of the fictional viewer audience are. Dude, wait, you guys, I'm still reading chat from stuff that was from like 20 minutes ago. I gotta hurry up and get through more of these messages. I am slow today. I'm sorry. I think I'm talking a lot. That's why. I am talking a lot. Funny how in episode 2 the gas killed everyone immediately, and yet Rick is perfectly fine with a bit of cloth over his mouth. Yeah, the realism behind that was bad. I agree. I agree. Um, how would you rank the episodes? 1 is the best, 2 is the second best, then 4, then I want to say 6, even though I have a lot of disappointment with it. I still think it's the fourth best. Then probably 3 and then 5, or 5 then 3. I don't know. 5 and 3 are kind of like mixed for me, but I don't know. Michonne said this regarding the gas a little longer. It breaks up quick. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess because they were under the. But again, I don't know how the flag protect them from it like that. I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those things where it's like I don't necessarily think it is necessarily has to be unrealistic. It could have worked. Maybe it makes more sense than people are realizing. But I think the point is that if people are complaining about it in the first place, they probably didn't do a great job of showcasing that it could happen. And they shouldn't have written themselves in that corner in the first place. They could have just had Rick and Michonne be further from the blast, and I think it would have been fine, you know. Then have them return and cover their face, and it's probably going to be fine, you know. I don't know. Do you think Carol's looking for Dale because Rick came back? That's possible. I don't know. Do you think we'll see Dwight and Sherry in Dead City at some point, since they had them go back to rebuild the sanctuary in Fear's last episode? That would be really cool, actually. I don't know why they'd go to New York City, but I didn't think about that. That would be awesome. I say bring in more characters from The Walking Dead. I've always been saying that. Like, these new characters, they're fine and all, but like, I feel like if you really want to make these shows feel more impactful, like, bring some more characters from the original show back. And Dwight and Sherry would make perfect sense with Negan and Maggie, I think. I also thought Lydia would be cool too, because Lydia had that Negan bond going on, but I don't know. I would love to see Dwight and Sherry in Dead City. Everything in episode 6 felt like the bare minimum, especially how they dealt with the serum in the reunion. I did kind of say that. Like, the reunion was fantastic. I loved it, but then again, it's like I couldn't imagine them not doing a reunion like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad they did it. I'm so happy, but like I would never imagine in a million years it not happening, which is kind of why it feels like the bare minimum. But then again, I loved it still. You know, I'm not gonna say I didn't. You know, I'm confused that Judith and RJ just ran out of the woods alone. Yeah, I don't know where that was. Maybe it was. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people are talking about that. A lot of people are talking about the whole woods and stuff. How do we know that's not in Commonwealth? Because again, the show did a terrible job at this, but at least in the comics, it's made pretty clear that Commonwealth is fucking huge. Like, it's huge. It's a whole ass like city basically, right? So it's very possible that that little area with the woods is actually in Commonwealth. It's in the walls itself. It's very possible that it's in there somewhere. I think they could have been landing, because why would they land outside of Commonwealth? You know, I'm not saying that's 100% confirmed. They didn't say anything about it, but I feel like that would make sense, because yeah, why would they be out there alone? And apparently there's a deleted scene where they have a picnic there, so why would they have a picnic out in the middle of nowhere? You know, it probably was in Commonwealth. I just think they didn't really make that clear enough. Carl died saving Sadiq. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why you said that there, but maybe it was something about what I said, but I forget. I forget if it connects to something I said. I think Rick will be heartbroken when he finds out Rosita died. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, it's one of those things where if we never get to see that reaction on screen, it kind of just like means nothing to me, because I'm like, we never got to see it, you know? But we don't have to see him react to everyone's death. Obviously, that would be a laundry list of deaths, but I don't know. I just think it would have been cool. Yeah, Judith was cool in the end, obviously. Like I said, I loved seeing a reunion. Not saying not saying that that wasn't a good thing, obviously. That was like probably the best scene in the whole series, or at least top 5 best scenes. I've seen Anthony showing is that the actor who plays RJ showing emotion in other shots, so it looks like bad directing, not editing. Well, that's what I was saying. I'm not, I would never blame the kid for that. He's a kid, you know. Like I don't usually blame acting even for adults because sometimes it's like it is. Yeah, they just took multiple. Or sometimes it's the dialogue too. There's some pieces of dialogue I don't think anyone can nail, and there's also like again you can take multiple takes. Some of the takes just might be not that great. You know, they just got to make sure they take the right takes. RJ actor has only done The Walking Dead. It looks like. Yeah, that makes sense. He's really young, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't see the point of hating on the actor. That just doesn't make sense. Yeah, he's not a seasoned actor. Yeah, I do think Judith, like even when she was like what, like season 9, where she must have been like 10 or 11 in that season, maybe 12. She was fantastic. She's one of the best kid actors I've ever seen in my entire life. Not even, no, I'm not even exaggerating. Kelly Fleming's fantastic. Like even from season 9, right off the bat, I was like, wow, okay, she's got a future, and she does. She's in a movie with Ryan Reynolds this year. I think she's definitely got a future. People who don't like the finale built up too many theories and expectations for the CRM storyline when I never thought it would be the main focus. Well, see, I get what you're saying. People do have theories and stuff and expectations, and then if it doesn't live up to that, they get disappointed. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. Having expectations is fine. I do think if your expectations are very specific, then it starts to be like, okay, well, yeah, you can't be too mad that they didn't do exactly what you wanted. But I think just generally speaking, like just wanting more out of the CRM, that's not having high expectations. This CRM was built up for a while. They had a whole 2-season TV show about the CRM. So I personally feel like that's valid criticism to be like, oh, they should have done more with the CRM. I think they should have. I know it wasn't the main focus, but it still is a focus, you know? It's like someone complaining about the villain in the Wonder Woman movie, you know? And then someone being like, oh, well, the movie's not about the villain. It's about Wonder Woman. But it's okay. Like, it's still about everything, you know? I could still complain about the villain being not that great, you know? Mika and Lizzie were also kids, but they were phenomenal, so we can't argue that RJ has bad. I'm not saying kid actors can't be great. I'm just saying it doesn't really make sense to critique them so heavily when it's like the kid is just a kid. I don't know, like. So where's Heath? Yeah, I talked about that a bit. I did see people. Oh, that is so okay. I don't necessarily agree, but I did see a lot of people comparing CRM to Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna go in depth with Game of Thrones just in case people haven't seen it, but I do kind of see that thing. But I actually think I prefer how they handled the end of that storyline in Game of Thrones, just because at least we got a lot out of it. Like at least there was a lot of people who died. There was a big ass hour and a half long battle with the Night King and the Army of the Dead and everything like that. So I mean, yes, I didn't love how it ended exactly, but at least there was something there, you know. Like that's what I want from the CRM stuff. Just give us a 1 hour long movie type ending to it. You know what I mean? I don't want them to end just with being exploded by some gas. You know, that's kind of the way I see it. Turns out the ones who live has access to the thickest plot armor of all time. Yeah, plot armor is an interesting conversation because some people will defend plot armor, but here's the thing. For me, I don't mind. Okay, let me make this clear. I don't have a problem with the idea of plot armor because plot armor really is just the idea that the main characters get saved easily because of the plot, because of the main characters. But I think there's a difference between that and something just being unrealistic, because an example of plot armor could be like, I don't know, let me think of something. Like even Glenn living from under the dumpster. Like, yeah, that's plot armor, right? He lived because he has plot armor. I don't know, like, you know, but it wasn't unrealistic that he survived that. Like him being able to crawl under the dumpster, kill the walkers that were covering the dumpster, and then the walkers leaving later because they can't get to him. That's actually kind of realistic and makes sense. That is in line with the Walking Dead universe. But is it still plot armor? Yeah. So I don't think all plot armor is a bad thing. I think it becomes a bad thing when it becomes kind of unrealistic that the character would survive that scenario, and the writers just shouldn't put that person in that scenario in the first place. You know what I mean? So that's the way I see it. Still a 9.2 on IMDb, so it seems like most of the people like the finale more than the chatter indicates. I mean, yeah, IMDb's ratings for the whole show has been really high, which is surprising because you look at any other Walking Dead, like season 11 stuff, the ratings are pretty low for season 11. Like the highest episode, I think the only episode that got above 9 was like, it was like one episode that got above a 9, I think. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing though, and I think most people are like I said, are in that audience number one. When I talked about that before, I don't know if you guys were all here for that, but when I talked about the two different groups, most people sit in that group number one, where they're going to love the episode as long as the good guys win. Like most people are like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, that's a fine way to view media, but a lot of people also don't view it like that. So it just depends how you view things, you know? Timeline-wise, Daryl takes place a few months after the last episode, and The Ones Who Live takes place a few months before Daryl, and Dead City takes place 6 years later. Dead City taking place 6 years later was, I think, the stupidest decision any Walking Dead show has ever made. Like, like why make it 6 years later? That just makes things so much more complicated for if they ever do a crossover. Because think about it, if they ever do a crossover, they either have to make the crossover 6 years later, which wouldn't work because then you would have to recast a lot of the kids, and then you have Judith as well. Like, how are you going to do Judith 6 years later? She's not going to age in 6 years. If they want to do the reunion within the next year or two, of course, unless they want to wait 6 years to do it. But if they wanted to do this crossover event in the next few years, they just physically couldn't now because apparently Dead City decides to take place 6 years later. Or they could have Dead City take place after the crossover event, but then that would be also kind of dumb because now those two characters we know they're going to live through the crossover event. And I just said I think Negan should die in that crossover event. So, like, why make Dead City take place so far in the future? I have no idea. I don't know why they did it. There's no way 104, 102, 103 should be ranked higher than 106. I never said 103 was better than 106. I don't know what you're talking about. Intense elevator scene, actions, gigantic explosion. This is like a Mission Impossible feature. All right, come on. Let's chill out a little. I don't know about Mission Impossible. I mean, technically, I was trying to think if there was a gigantic explosion in any of the other episodes. I don't think a gigantic explosion makes an episode great, though. Like, that's not enough to make an episode great. If that's the case, then Sharknado, it must be the best movie of all time because there's plenty of explosions in that movie, right? No, I liked the episode. Again, I did. Episode 4 is generic. Dancing is great, but dancing is great. Oh, you meant Deny is great, but she's clearly no mastermind. Gimple structure. I don't know. I thought episode 4 was solid. I don't think it was the best episode though. A lot of people say it was the best. I think it was the third best. I still think episode 1 and 2 are the best ones though. That's all I'm saying. The music was fantastic. I loved every bit of the soundtrack in this season. It was so fucking good. Oh my god. I want it on Spotify and Apple Music. I want to listen to the soundtrack every day. It's honestly some of the best Walking Dead music I've ever heard, to be honest. Does episode 1 rank in the top 25 The Walking Dead episodes? Oh yeah, I think so actually. Probably like number 20th spot around there, probably. I don't know. Somewhere around there. CRM would have wiped Commonwealth off the map. The helicopters are too OP. Well, to be fair, look what Michonne and Nat did in episode 2. They took that thing down with 3 shots of that boomstick, right? So I'm sure, Commonwealth probably has some equipment like that. I'm sure they have some bazookas. I'm sure they have some rocket launchers. So how cool would that be if we had this whole thing where there's helicopters going around CRM, like blowing things up, throwing gas bombs, and our group is going around with RPGs trying to... I'm sorry, I'm an action fan. I want to see that in The Walking Dead. I do. Like, hate me if all you want, man. I want to see that. I'm sorry. That'd be fucking awesome. Oh, man. And yeah, the CRM, if they do the CRM Civil War, they would have a lot less people. Let's assume the CRM Civil War makes a lot of them die. They lose a lot of their equipment. Now they're on an equal playing field, and it would be a better battle. I don't know. And also, to people saying that, have you seen Star Wars? Have you seen Star Wars? Literally, the whole plot of Star Wars is we have the Empire, this giant Death Star, giant, equipment, all this crazy shit. They have all this expensive stuff. And then this group of rebels with more general stuff. They don't have the most crazy equipment in the world. They defeat the Empire. Like, that's the whole plot of Star Wars. Why can't The Walking Dead do that with Commonwealth being the rebels against CRM? I think they could do that. Just because one community is better and has more equipment does not mean they have to win. I mean, look at the Saviors. Look at the Saviors. They completely outnumbered Rick's group. They completely had better weapons and equipment, but Rick and the group still found a way to beat Negan. That is what made it so awesome, right? I don't know. Oh well. Saw Thorn get devoured by walkers when Rick was about to climb up the container. Actually, I don't know. I didn't see that, so I'm not sure. A missed opportunity that they could have done for season 2 was Rick and Michonne's kids showing up at the briefing for the soldiers, or at least the World Beyond kids, just to keep the plot going. Oh, that could have worked. Yeah. So, I mean, the reunion wouldn't have been a really happy one because they would be kidnapped by the CRM, but yeah, I guess I could have got those kids involved. The episode had so much to get through. Having Heath would have really thrown off focus. That's what I was saying. It would have been like a very big. That's why I mentioned the whole like it would just be a quick fan servicey thing than anything. But yeah, you probably would have had to do the Heath thing in a different episode. I don't think that would have worked in that moment for sure. I got a feeling AMC wanted The Ones Who Lived to be more than 6 episodes, but Denai and Andrew wanted to be done with it. I don't know, maybe. I guess we'll see if they want to do more or not, though. I was gonna yell at my TV if Rick died in that one scene. Yeah, I honestly thought he was gonna die for a second. For a second, I felt like he was gonna die. For a second. None of the 3,000 soldiers heard Thorne shoot the ground or her yelling. That's some fear type writing. Yeah, I know. I was kind of saying that too. She did have a suppressor, but I think a lot of people don't realize that suppressors are actually like surprisingly loud. Like video games make suppressors seem like I think she had a suppressor on a gun, right? Because it sounded a bit quieter, but video games have made people think that suppressors are like quiet. They're not quiet, believe me. I've shot one and they're not quiet. Like they sound pretty loud. You will hear it. Like I don't know, man, but it's not a big deal, I guess. I love Negan, but that could be a very satisfying conclusion for his character. Yeah, him dying. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it would be pretty cool to see him die in the end. Like, I would hate if he died in The Walking Dead at any point, but like, if they're already gonna finish his story anyways, you might as well end it with him dying. You know, I don't think that would be a problem. Do you think the story now is going to play out with the variant walkers being the threat to our survivors since we seen that lady get killed in the Walking Dead World Beyond turn to a fast walker? So yeah, the variant walkers have already been a big part of Daryl Dixon. I do think that's going to be the focus, but like I said, I want CRM to still be there. And like I said, the whole CRM movie thing that I had this idea with, right? They could include variant walkers in that. Have it be like, what if CRM's way of attacking is maybe they have this secret facility where they had a bunch of variant walkers or something. They just kind of throw them in Commonwealth or something. I don't fucking know. They drop a giant shipping container over Commonwealth full of variant walkers and just have them run rampant through the Commonwealth. That would be cool. I don't know though. Oh, imagine they do a spinoff called The Walking Dead Variants. That'd actually be a cool title for a series, The Walking Dead Variants. And it's just all about the variant walkers just out there. I don't know who would be with what characters, but it sounds cool to me. I don't like that they made Negan married and then the wife is pregnant and they aren't talked about again. Yeah, honestly, Negan and his wife, I feel like that was a bit of a forced storyline just because it's like you can tell sometimes when they try to do things just for the sake of trying to make people like Negan more. Like, oh, we gave Negan a wife and he's got a kid coming on the way. You have to like him now. It's like you don't need to do all that to make me like Negan. I really like obviously he's never gonna be fully redeemed for what he did, but like he's still entertaining to watch. I don't necessarily need him to have a wife and a child on the way, but I also don't mind that storyline too. It makes sense. He fell in love with this girl and he wants to have a kid. That's fine. Like I didn't have a big issue with it. I just felt like it did feel a little forced. I saw that Scott Gimple and Channing Powell, the Tales showrunner, wrote the finale for The Ones Who Live. Yeah, I think that's right. Channing Powell's he's written some good stuff, so I don't know what was going on with the Tales of the Walking Dead because that show is not good, but he's written good stuff before though. The ending was perfect for the love story, but the ending of the CRM was rushed and didn't make sense. That's kind of how I see it, yeah. Scott Gimple is the worst writer, sorry. A lot of people say that, and I don't understand, man. Like, if you look at his writing credits for what episodes he wrote in The Walking Dead, he's written some of the best episodes in the whole show. Like, yeah, it's just hard to say that when you see that, you know? Hard to say that. All right, when people talk about the serum ending, they mean the serum ending in this episode, like the higher ups dying and then serum changing. That's what people are referring to. They did not, as much as we can theorize that they have more going on with it and they're going to do more, and I can hope they're going to do more, they didn't give us any hints at that at all in this episode. Not a single hint. So I don't think it's necessarily wrong for someone to say CRM, the ending of CRM. There's nothing wrong with someone saying that because they didn't show us that they were going to continue with it. They never showed us it. So I personally, like I said, I have these theories and these hopes, but that's all I have, you know? I don't know for sure what they got planned. Who is Heath? He was in season 6 and 7 of The Walking Dead. He's the one that was on that little trip with Tara, and he got taken, and we didn't know who took him, but we eventually learned it was the CRM who took him. Well, it was must have been Jadis who took him and then gave him the CRM. Wonder what the 3 movies were going to be and how they would fit 6 episodes into 3 movies. I'm assuming the movies were written to be very different. A lot of people are saying that they just turned the script for the 3 movies into this show. I don't agree with that at all. I think they changed a lot. And even just by listening to the interviews and of what Denai Guerra and Andrew Lincoln have said, they've changed a lot on the script over the past few years. And they've already announced it was not going to be a movie anymore like a year and a half ago. So I don't think it was going to be the same thing. Some people are trying to like think about it like, oh, movie 1 was going to end here. The movie. No. They completely changed what the show was going to be like. Maybe some general ideas were the same, like in terms of the first episode. I'm sure a lot of that was the same, you know? But a lot of it was different. Even just the reunion. I'm pretty sure the reunion was originally supposed to happen in like episode 4 or something, but Denai Guerrero wanted it to be sooner. That's what she was saying in the interview. So I don't think the movies were ever going to be anything like the show necessarily. At least, you know, exactly. I think they were going to be different. Um, Rick and Michonne were like, we saved the world as they bombed and gassed over 2,000 people. Oh, man. Season 2 should be about Portland and what's happening there. That would be interesting if they did a season 2 without Rick and Michonne. Like, I don't think that would work because the show, I mean, the title of the show is literally like, you know, they could do another show maybe about Portland, but I don't think it would be a season 2 of this though, unless Rick and Michonne went to Portland. But that would be stupid. I don't think Rick and Michonne should leave Commonwealth. Like I said, if they do this crossover thing, have it be all at Commonwealth. Don't have them go somewhere else. Some people said, "Oh, Rick should join Daryl in France." No, none of that stuff. Just keep him there with his family. If you want to do more, but don't have him leave. Rick spent years trying to escape, but Michonne sneaks in with no problems. Makes perfect sense. Like I said, they made it Serum a lot bigger of a threat in the first few episodes. And then, yes, I do feel like in that last episode, they suddenly weren't like a problem anymore. And I did feel like that was a bit iffy for me. So I do agree. I wish they ran into Daryl in episode 6. Yeah, I don't think that would have been possible considering he's in France. But yes, you do realize that could still happen, but they just didn't want to be forced into certain plot points for the future. No, I know I've been saying that. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm still judging the episode for what it is. I can't judge the show based on what might happen because we don't know what's going to happen, you know? I still would have changed it. I still would have changed how the finale was handled. Love your reactions and everything you do. The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live was supposed to be a love story, not mainly on the serum, so I don't think it's rushed. What do you think? I did reply to this before, not your exact one, but someone saying the exact same thing. I basically just said, just because it's a love story does not mean the serum is not important. I think it still is an important factor of the show, and it clearly was meant to be an important fact of the show. So even though the romance side of it is the most important aspect of it, and that's what they were focusing on, they also focused on CRM. So I think the ending of it was still important, and the fact that it felt rushed did take away from the impact for me personally. Damn, a lot of people yelling at each other in the comments. That's Oh no. I actually did consider episode 2 being better than 1. Someone said it's episode 2 is their favorite here. I actually considered that at some point because the reunion between Rick and Michonne was just too good, you know. But I think I prefer episode 1. I don't know. That's hard to say. If season 2 happens, we better not have a time skip of Rick meeting Carol, Aaron, and everybody else. You saying we better not, or we should? I don't know. I'm seeing stuff about there being a 12th season of the main show. That won't happen. If they do a 12th season, it won't be a 12th season. It'll just be a new show with, that'll feel like the 12th season of The Walking Dead, because their whole reason for these spin-offs is because they wanted to get away from the main show. They wanted to get away from everything that they were attached to with that show. So if they ever do it, it'll be more of like a rebooted, like, honestly, they could, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live is like the perfect title for it. You could literally just do season 2 and have it feel like season 12, sure. I wouldn't mind that. And then you can have this CRM combo stuff that I've been saying they should do. Or just doing a movie and then end everything. Because I don't want them to do too much. I do think these characters' storylines need to end soon. They've been going on for more than a decade now. They should end. But just give us a little bit more. That's all I need. My whole point is literally just being, I want these characters' storylines to end together. That's literally the whole point. As long as they end together, I'm happy. You know? I'd love to see Alicia to be in Dead City. I'm pretty sure Jeffrey D. Morgan, Alicia, Devin McCurdy are close in real life. Yeah, that'd be cool. I would like any Fear the Walking Dead characters, to be honest, to come back, because they're all great characters. They were great characters in a show that was just very directionless and just not very good. But the characters were always great, though. So I don't think Silas died during the explosion. No, I mean, if he did, then that's just stupid. Why would they do that off screen and not like make it clear that happened? You know. Thank you, Ashty. I appreciate that. The serum has been teased as the biggest threat in the Walking Dead universe. They didn't live up to that, and Beale didn't. And it ruined the chance to have an endgame war to decide the fate of the planet. That's what they should do, and I guess they could still do it technically. Like I said, I mentioned before, they could still do that. But yeah, I do kind of agree that the serum should retain its threat. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, we'll just have a different group next. They can just do a different group. They can just have, the people, the Croat, for example, in the New York City. They could be the next threat." And I'm like, no, like, you have this big threat set up. Use it, utilize it. Don't just throw it away. You know what I mean? It's like this is the end game threat for me. This is the final threat the Walking Dead universe should have, other than the zombies, of course. But you know what I mean? Like, as in like a villainous human group. This is the last one we should ever see, because you can never top this CRM. You can't top that. You just can't. You can't top them. So why bother? You know? Don't bring in a bunch of other groups and have them be the big universe threat. No, the serum should still continue as the main threat. And like I said, they could still do it. It's possible. I don't know if they're gonna do it though. The ending of that episode made it feel like they're done with it and they're all good now. That's what it made it feel like. Even if that's not realistically probably what's gonna happen, doesn't change the fact that that's what they did in the finale. That's how they made it seem, you know? Scott Gimple should bring back the governor. How he lost his humanity? What? I would love a governor backstory movie though, or something like that, you know? That'd be cool. Only here to say I'm disappointed in the finale. It destroys the timeline. Daryl was looking for Rick for half a year when he was already found. Sure, he wasn't in Alexandria. He could not know. Daryl was looking for Rick for half a year. Like after the finale, you mean? He was already found. Well, I guess it depends, because I don't really know exactly when this all's supposed to take place. The timeline is really hard to follow, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I guess it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, but it is hard to follow. But you know who would have known? Maggie and Negan. Why didn't they ask Rick for help or talk to him at all? Ask for him for help during like the whole New York City thing? That is a thing, though. That is interesting to think about. That means Maggie and Negan should theoretically know that Rick is still alive in the Dead City show. I mean, they had no reason to bring him up, I guess, but I don't know. I have no idea. I don't really think it messes that season up too much. I do see what you're trying to say, though. I don't want to see an ultimate reunion in Dead City or Daryl Dix. Like I said, it has to be in a crossover event. That's what it should be. Don't make people watch Daryl Dixon season 2 just to see it, even though I'm gonna watch it anyways. But I don't want people to feel like they have to watch other shows for it. Then it starts to turn into the Marvel problem, and not, no, it's just stupid. I think it should all be in some one crossover event thing that works as a sequel to The Ones Who Live. You know? Do you think if the story of the main show was the exact same, just like the comics, it would be better? No. The comic ending sucked in my opinion. Okay, it didn't suck. I just didn't like it. Like the comics were amazing with the Whisperer War. I loved the Whisperer War in the comics. I think it was the best part of the comics. It was way better in the comics than it was in the show. All Out War was great in the comics. But honestly, Commonwealth in the comics was not that exciting, and I think the show did it better. So I actually prefer how the show ended. Even though the comics had a more sense of finality, obviously, because it was more of an actual ending, as you know, the show wasn't an actual ending. But I do think the show still handled that stuff better. An example of unrealistic plot armor is Troy from Fear the Walking Dead surviving the hits to the hammer. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Actually, you could live from that, but I think him getting out of the dam in time after getting hit like that is where the unrealism, comes in. Look at the episode Squeeze 10:9. You can't tell me that's not plot armor. Which part of it? Because there was a lot to that episode. Plot armor in The Walking Dead Ones Who Live is easier spotted because 2 people defeated 200,000 people in one episode, pretty much. There was definitely not 200,000 people there. I think it was more like 2,000, but yeah, no, I do. I still, I know what you mean. If Daryl and Rick reunite, I will be screaming my lungs out. Easily the best reunion in The Walking Dead history. Like I said, I want to see it too. I am kind of worried that Daryl's gonna find out that Rick's alive through Carol. Like that's just gonna be kind of anticlimactic. I feel like I want to see Daryl getting home having no idea Rick's alive, and then just seeing Rick and be like, "Oh my god," But him hearing it from Carol is gonna be like, "Oh, it'll still be impactful," but I think it won't be as interesting. What's up, Marvland? Oh, you meant defeating 200,000 people by killing 2,000 of them. Yeah, I don't know. That's why, like I was saying, the CRM still they have to be a threat still. And like I said, the show should have made that more clear because I don't think they ended it in a way where it made that clear. I love the scene episode 4 where Rick yells at the voiceover machine in the building saying, "Where's that thing?" Yeah, there was some good comedy in this show, all I will say. Like sometimes maybe misplaced comedy, but most of the time I thought it was fine and it was funny. I like seeing these debates in the show. As long as y'all keep it civil. I think debates are okay. Just keep it civil. That's all I'm saying. Norman Reedus said Daryl was gonna get his hair cut short like in season 1. Oh, I fucking hope so. Oh wait, I didn't read the rest of your thing, but it got scrapped. Oh, it was gonna happen in season 1, bro. They gotta do that. That'd be awesome. I want to see him get a haircut. That'd be so cool. Yeah, so that's the thing. No, most of the military, yeah, they killed the 10% that knew the true intentions, and they killed the bad ones pretty much. That is true, but that is my problem, right? I want to see more of the bad ones. I don't want them all to just be suddenly gone. And that's why I'm hoping there's still more out there that could still revolt against the good ones. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I just finished Fear Season 8 before watching this finale, and while this was way better than Fear, it felt closer to Fear than The Walking Dead. It felt like contrived writing. I don't know if it wasn't on that level for sure, but I can see what you mean. I don't really 100% agree, though. If in your mind Rick and Michonne didn't defeat the CRM, they made the dumbest call by coming back. The CRM has resources to track them down. Not sure what you mean by that. Didn't defeat the CRM, they made the dumbest call by coming back. Oh, going back there? Well, yeah, if they didn't defeat them, then yeah. But I think that's kind of the idea, though. Like, I didn't want it to be easy for them, But the fact that they only had one episode, it's like, well, how are they going to do this over the course of a few episodes? Like, I do think it would have made more sense if they go back home, get help from others to then help defeat them. So them doing it alone, I think, is where the problem comes in. I think it would make a lot more sense if there was a lot other people involved. But then again, it also has to do with the fact that I just want to see more of the CRM and I want to see their involvement with Commonwealth. And I feel like that could happen in the future. And I hope it does. I still hope they do it. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I would love to see Dying Light like variant walkers. I don't want them to go that far with it. I like the variants they have right now because they're kind of like low-key variants. They're not too crazy, they're not volatiles from Dying Light. They're more like, there's the burning ones, and then there's the ones that just walk fast or run faster, or I guess run at all. I mean, they usually don't run. And then there's some that are just stronger, like stuff like that. It's just more simpler, makes them more threatening, but also doesn't make it not feel like The Walking Dead, I'll be right back, by the way. I'm just going to use the bathroom. So I'm going to put up a little be right back thing, just to let you guys know. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Real quick. All right. Oh, I should have done like an ad break or something. I know there's like ad breaks you can do. I probably should have done one of those. Okay. Remove that. Usually I end the stream once I can catch up with these comments. So let's keep going. All right, AMC called The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live event series, which means that it's a big show leading up to something even bigger. Like I said, I hope that's the case. We'll see. They took down the corrupt part of the serum, not every serum base. Yeah, I've been saying that. Gipple just said he's continuing the Rick Grimes story, so there you go. Again, I saw that interview. He said he wants to. It doesn't really confirm that he's 100% going to do it, but again, I hope he does. I hope it does happen. We'll see. I think they would be a huge missed opportunity not to do something else. I don't want them to do too much more, though. Like I said, a little bit more is fine. A little bit more. Where was I? I keep losing my spot in the chat. What season length do you prefer? 6, 10, 16, 24? It depends on the show. Actually, I really don't have a preference because it just depends on the show. But based on a budget, because shows obviously are not going to have unlimited budgets, I think 10 is like the perfect amount because it's not too much to the point where you're spreading your budget thin, but it's also enough to tell a lot of story within the year and within that season. I think like 8 or 10 is like perfect between that range. 6 usually feels too short. I feel like every show that's ever had 6 episodes, I always feel like it's rushed in the end. That happened with a lot of the Marvel shows. It's just like I always want more out of it, But 8 and 10 I think is like perfect. 13 is fine too. 16 starts to get a little bit too much. The Walking Dead has always had that issue where like having 16 episodes is like not required for every season really, but they do it anyways. So I think anywhere from like 8 or 13 is perfect. So I go with 10 then. Game of Thrones did 10 for most of the seasons. I thought that was perfect. They're not going to do a season 12 though. They might do something that's like a season 12. That's what I'm saying before, but it's not going to be called The Walking Dead season 12 is what I'm saying. They're done with The Walking Dead show. I'm kind of just reading this back and forth between Ghost Type and Ghost Plasma right now. uh. The men at the satellite station are also bad as they had images of dead people's heads bashed in on their walls as they slept. Oh, you're replying to Ghost Plasma. Okay. How would you feel if Commonwealth fought variants in the crossover series? I feel like it would be okay, but I would prefer CRM. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if they let's say they do this crossover thing, right? Like I said, I hope it's a movie. I would prefer it's CRM and that's the conflict, but they could do both. But let's say they just do variants and that's it. I just don't think I think it could work, but I don't want it to just be variants because having a villainous group that has motivations makes the villainous group more interesting. If it's just zombies, I think it loses its impact because it's just zombies, right? Like they don't have a motivation. They're just there to kill you. And it's entertaining and it's The Walking Dead. I want to see zombies, but you got to do a little more than that, I feel like, So having a whole, season where it's just, I think of any zombie related media, usually they'll find a way to have enemies that aren't zombies. Look at The Last of Us. Most of the main threats in that show are not zombies either, even though the zombies are really threatening in that show. Most of them are the humans, though. I think the human threat is important. So you can do both, or you can do just CRM. I'd prefer both. But just variants, I don't know. Like I said, it could work, but I don't think it'll have that same oomph. You know what I mean? They aren't throwing Serum away. That's not the vibes I'm getting with them teasing 14 years of humanity left. All of these assuming will turn to be wrong in 6 years. Like I said, I'm just basing off of the episode. It's really that's all I'm basing it off of. Like I've said that yes, they could do more, but the episode. My issue is the episode didn't make that clear. Any of us hoping they're going to do more is just all us hoping. It's just all theories at this point. The distribution of these spinoffs have been terrible. In the UK, we still don't have any. Yeah, I've heard about that. You don't have any of the spinoffs? I don't know why. I don't get it, but they got to bring Morgan back at some point. How would you like for them to bring him back? Honestly, it would be as simple as him just showing up to Commonwealth. That's how they kind of worded it. They worded it as he's on his way back to Alexandria at the end of Fear when he was on the radio. He was gonna like, oh, I'm gonna go look for Rick, right? He's probably just gonna go back to Alexandria and maybe on the way there he'll come across Commonwealth and he'll be like, well, shit, everyone's here, and that's all they have to do, really. They don't have to do anything more than that, and that'd be cool. Mo would be there too. Why not? Unpopular opinion. I much prefer Rick's comic ending. Damn, definitely an unpopular opinion. Definitely. Oh yeah, no. Just because there's disappointing elements to an episode does not mean it's the episodes are worse. No, yeah. For me, disappointing isn't even always a bad thing. In totality, like I could be disappointed with something but still love it. You know what I mean? There's plenty of movies I love that were still slightly disappointing, but like it doesn't change the fact that I loved it. Spider-Man: No Way Home. I would put it under the realm of disappointing. There were some elements of it that were disappointing. I would still give it like a 9.9 out of 10. It's still a fantastic fucking movie. I just thought some stuff was disappointing. You know what I mean? Same thing with this. Just because I thought the finale had disappointing elements does not mean it was not a fantastic episode, and does not mean the rest of the show wasn't fantastic too. A lot of people just don't realize that. They hear the word disappointing and they immediately think, "Oh, this guy hates it." It's like, no, I never said I hated it. You know? I don't know. I do wish they were a little more clear on it in the episode. That's kind of all I've been saying about the whole serum thing. A lot of people are talking about that right now, like how the ending works and everything. But I think there was a better way to go about it. That's all I'm saying. What do you think about the toxic side of the Rashoners and the Carolers? Oh my god. Don't even I don't want to get involved in that conversation. I honestly don't understand a lot of it. Like there's nothing wrong with like wanting characters to be together and like enjoying that relationship between those characters. But I do think there are a lot of people, what you're saying, the toxic side, that take it too far on Twitter, and it's like, holy shit, calm down. Like some people just get so worked up about it and they yell at each other, and if you disagree with them, they hate you, and it's like, oh my goodness, like please, 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 please stop it. I don't get it. Like it's so much so to the point where there's like split up communities that are only interested in like their own spinoff, and they have this like whole like competition about like which spinoff's better, because you have the Maggie lovers, right? I love Maggie too, don't get me wrong, but you have like the group that's all about the Maggie, and then you got the Rick and Michonne lovers, and then you got the Daryl and Carol lovers, and it's like this big like competition between the different spin-offs. It's like, bro, just watch them or don't watch them. Like, why are we doing this whole like thing where it's like the fandoms are like split off? It's like, what's happening, man? I don't get it. I like all the spin-offs. They've been all entertaining so far, but I'm not really basing my interest or disinterest in them based on the characters. I feel like I'm just basing them on how good or bad I think they are. I don't know, you know? Oh well. I do think Rick and Michonne's relationship is one of my favorite relationships in fictional media, though. Probably top five. And Daryl and Carol aren't really a relationship. I know people want them to be, but I don't think they ever will. Just straight up, I don't think they will. I don't really want them to either. I think at this point, could they have done it? Sure, but we've already had so much time where that hasn't happened, to the point where I just don't think it makes sense anymore. Like if they were gonna do it, they should have done it in like season 4. You know what I mean? Like they should have done it a long time ago. You know, so I feel like now it's just not. There's just no point anymore. You know. What do you think about the CRM logo change? It's just a circle now, right? It's symbolic, sure, but it is a little silly. It's like, okay, all right. I guess it works. I don't know. I love your videos. Thank you. I'm a Bulldog fan. I appreciate it. Do you think Hornsby could have been a spy, like Beale mentioned? Yes, I do think he was a spy. Yeah. I want more walkers like the Gas Man, normal walkers who are a threat because they, for example, have radioactive. Yeah, and I agree with them. Melted iron, making them walking tanks. That is. I agree. The Winslow from the junkyard. Agreed. I actually had this idea. I think when I was writing my like I was writing the Walking Dead adaptation thing with the Clementine series. I forget if I did or not, but I think I had a group where like they did that. Like that was their thing, is like getting walkers, surrounding them, and like using them by like attaching different like traps to them and then sending them out to communities and then having the traps be the threat there, right? And I guess, like I said, the junkyard, they did that with the Winslow Walker, but more shit like that, just like putting spikes on all sorts of walkers or grenades attached to them. So if you shoot them, like maybe like explosives in their head or something. So like injected into them. So if you shoot them in the head, which is what you're supposed to do, they're gonna explode. So if you're close to them, the shrapnel is gonna hit you. So you wouldn't realize that. So if you're not far enough from them after shooting them in the head, it's gonna kill you or it's gonna hurt you. I don't know. Stuff like that would be cool. Yeah, I use the bathroom a lot. Very common thing. What is your absolute favorite scene from each episode? Great question. Episode 1, I'm gonna say Rick versus Okafor, when Okafor was telling him about like him bombing the stadium. That scene was fantastic. Episode 2, obviously the Rick and Michonne reunion. Episode 3, I'm gonna say Rick telling Jadis she has a shit haircut. No, not that scene. Maybe just oh the The scene in the woods when Michonne and Rick were pushing that thing, that like distraction drone thing through the walkers, that scene. Episode 4, I'd probably say the conversation with Carl in the bed after they had sex, that scene. Rick was crying. Episode 5, probably Jadis's final moments. And then episode 6 would be the reunion with Judith and RJ. Yeah, that sounds like a good list. Thank you for that question. More positive questions. That's good to hear. I feel like I've been complaining a lot about like the ending, and I don't want to talk too much about that because like yeah, sure, it's it's a I had a problem with it, but like people are gonna think I hate the show just because I'm talking a lot about the negatives. But like in general, I love the show. There's a lot of great stuff to it. The music, the directing, cinematography, everything was fantastic. I really don't have a problem with most of it. Totally agree with you that Daryl should come back to Commonwealth just to see Rick and Michonne. With Michonne and Judith, that will probably be better reunion for both characters. Agreed. Whose death do you think was handled better, Thorne, Beale, or Jadis? Jadis's death, I think, was perfectly handled. So probably Jadis. Yeah. Um, it would have been cool to see Carl in one of Rick's dreams. Yeah, I know we saw him in that little like scene, but obviously that wasn't like Chandler Riggs Carl. They're probably just gonna do is something stupid like a variant horde, and fans will eat it up. I'm expecting that, and that could be cool. But like, yeah, I want more stuff with the serum, man. I'd prefer that. Like, I don't know what more they can do with the serum horde. I don't know. Osteopiculate, thank you for the $5 donation. I appreciate it, man. We all thought Beale and the serum would be bigger. All that build up for that was definitely not worth it. But the end was the only good thing about episode 6. Yeah, like I said, I know I liked more about episode 6 than just that, but I do agree the build up to it for that to be possibly it. Again, it depends. I don't know what they're gonna do next. It depends. But based on how the episode ends, it does feel like that's it for it. So yeah, from that perspective, I agree. But I liked other stuff in the episode. I really liked um the elevator scene. I liked that. I even liked the conversation between Rick and Beale. That was fantastic. Even just the way it was shot and stuff. There was a lot of good scenes in that episode for sure. How many seasons do you think Dead City and Daryl Dixon will have? I think Daryl will have 3 seasons. I think Dead City will have 2. I don't think they're gonna do more than that. What was your highlight of the show? Episode 1, the entirety of it, and I guess the reunions as well. Both of them, the Rick and Michonne one and the Rick, Michonne and Judith and RJ one. I'm curious where Morgan is and if we'll see him again. Yeah, I just talked about this. I would love to see him again. I do. Would love that. I feel like Lenny James would definitely be open to it. He loves that character. I mean, if he was willing to stick around at Fear the Walking Dead for that long, even though that show was cheeks, like at that point, season 7 and 8 were cheeks. I think season 6 was good though. But he was willing to stick around for it. Like, he has to love the character a lot, Gimple did say a season 12 was possible, but I doubt they will because the show is contractually tied to Netflix. Well, did he say a season 12 was possible, or did he say the idea of a season 12 was possible in terms of like having a new series that works as a season 12 but isn't actually a season 12? You know what I mean? Because I don't think, I don't know. Unless, did he say that recently? Because I don't know. I feel like he probably did mean it was like the idea of it. Like, okay, conceptually, it'll be a season 12, but it's not going to be called season 12 of The Walking Dead. But yeah, like you said, I the way it's contractually tied to Netflix and Robert Kirkman and all that, I think they want to stay away from the show. And it also wouldn't make sense because imagine someone's watching The Walking Dead and they end season 11 and then episode 12 starts off and Rick is just home. Like, it's like, what the fuck? What happened? Like, you know what I mean? So like at that point, if they're going to do a season 12, what was the point of these spinoffs? There was no point. They could have easily have had these spinoffs work in a season 12. I mean, think about it. Just think about it for a second, right? And I would have preferred this, if I'm going to be honest. They could have easily have had season 12 just start off and just have stuff going on in Commonwealth, maybe some new conflict going on in Commonwealth, or maybe just people just chilling around. But you have this whole side story focused on Rick and Michonne, and you have Michonne returns, and you see her journey. They could have even expanded on it a little bit. They could expand on her journey of getting to Rick. Then, of course, they also go to Rick itself in the show, what he's been up to. And then you get the reunion, and then they return home by the end of season 12 or something like that. Like, they could have literally just done that. And then all the while, if they really wanted to they didn't have to do the whole France and Dead City thing. They didn't have to do any of that, but they could have still done those too. Have side stories all built in the same season. And you know what's a good example of a show that does that? Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones went on for 6 seasons of storylines that were completely separate with characters around the whole goddamn world. There was people in Westeros, people in Essos. Like, these are completely different places that are very separate from each other. You could have done that in The Walking Dead season 12. You could have had them be separate. It would have been weird, I know, but going from episode to episode, having completely different stories, but have them work together thematically, and I think you could have pulled it off, and then have them all return by the end of season 12, and then maybe finish it off for one final season for season 13, and that's it. If they're going to do a season 12, then they could have just done that to begin with. There was no point in these spinoffs, basically, right? So the spinoffs, to me, were an idea of them trying to get rid of the original show and trying to get people to come back to watching it, because a lot of people did watch the Rick show that didn't even finish season 11 of The Walking Dead. So that was, I think, the reason they did that. Well, I don't know about the Netflix thing. But in general, they wanted to get away from it because of there are contracts involved with that show, I think specifically related to Robert Kirkman, but I just don't think they'll, I really don't think they'll do a season 12. Like I said, if they do, it would make no sense, because it'd be like, well, why even do the spinoffs then? Like, I don't get it. They release Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead sequel shows on Blu-ray. Yeah, but they don't release those right away, though. So even if you do get those eventually, you're not getting them right away. I hope that Rick doesn't get his comic book death by the hands of Beale's son. I hope not either. That'd be stupid. He shouldn't die at all. Like, at all. Where would you place the premiere against the other premieres of the main show? I think number 3, the third best, or fourth best, maybe. It's not better than the season 5 premiere. It's not better than season 7 premiere. It's not better than the season... Actually, it's probably the third best then. Those are only 2 premieres I think it's not better than. So, yeah. Top 3. The finale, though? Ooh, the finale... It's not better than... It's better than the season 1 finale. It's not better than the season 2 finale. I wouldn't say it's better than the season 3 finale. I wouldn't say it's better than the season 4 finale. It's not better than the season 5 finale. It's not better than the season 6 finale. It's not better than the season 7 finale. It's maybe better. No, it's not better than the season 8 finale. It's better than the season 9 finale. Not better than the season 10 finale. Not better than season 11. It's only better. Okay, so it's one of the worst finales of all time. I like the episode I did, but yeah, I don't think it's better than most finales from The Walking Dead. It's better than season 1 and season 9 finale. That's it. Those are the only finales it's better than. I mean, most Walking Dead finales have been really great though, so it's kind of hard to compare when they do great finales. So the 14 years of humanity left will turn out to not be true after the new CRC leaders do stuff, because Gimple can simply write it off to not be true, which I think is stupid. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's delegitimizing that it's CRM. Obviously, the CRM wouldn't destroy Omaha and Portland unless they had to save the world. The thing is, I don't think it'll ever matter, because I don't think we're ever going to get that far into the franchise. Like 14 years, that would be, in real time, that would be what, 20... I can't do math for shit. That'd be like, what, 2038, right? There's no way this Walking Dead franchise is still going to be going on in 2038. They might still have The Walking Dead as a thing, but at that point, it'll either be rebooted or they'll have a new story, new universe, something. They'll do other stuff that's not this universe still, I don't think. You know what I mean? So I don't even know if it'll ever matter, because 2030 is like, I don't know. That's just too long from now. But I guess they could do time jumps, sure. But like, what's the point of those, you know? I don't know if they really ever should get to that point in the show. Damn, now that I'm thinking about it, they could do a show. They could call it The Ones Who Are Left or something like the that'd be too similar to The Last of Us. But The Walking Dead, The Last of Us, imagine. And it's set 14 years later where they recast Judith and RJ and all them, and they're all older. They're like in their 20s, their late 20s. And it's like about there being like nobody left in the world except for like some people. That would be kind of interesting, but I also don't want them to do that right now. Mainly because I don't want to see them recast these kids. Yeah, I've been seeing people say Tyler Barton. I see what you say there about Mason Beale killing him. I wouldn't want that. I agree. That would be a terrible ending. I do not want that. Maybe they can honestly, fool the hell out of us. Make it seem like that's going to happen. Have like this Walking Dead crossover thing, which, like I mentioned, if they have the whole CRM Civil War, and then Mason Beale, he's revolting. He has a whole group and he's attacking Commonwealth, and have him at one point sneak in. Have that be the end, right? He's not dead yet, but maybe they defeated CRM and they think they're okay. But Mason Beale is still out there. He sneaks into Commonwealth, and we have a scene where Rick's asleep in his room, and Mason Beale comes in. They show him getting ready to come in to shoot Rick in his bed, and comic fans are like, "Oh my god, they're about to do the comic scene." But then they have Rick get up under the covers, pull out his revolver, and fucking shoot Mason in the head. Yo, that would be sick as hell. That'd be like a great way to like give us fan service for comic fans, but also not actually do what the comic did. You know what I mean? That would be so awesome. It's such a great way to end the Rick Grimes character, basically saying, yeah, we ain't killing this man off. Instead, we just had him shoot this man in the face, saving himself and not getting killed. And that's how they end the character. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. I would love that. I literally just thought about that. I'm like, wait, that would actually be kind of sick. Sometimes I love these streams because I have these ideas that just pop in my head out of nowhere, and I'm like, wait, that sounds amazing. I don't think The Walking Dead is dark enough anymore. It's felt pretty sanitized ever since Glenn's death. It has its moments. I think it is still pretty dark. I just think it depends the time and place, I guess. Because yeah, there are some moments that I can see. In terms of gore, it's still pretty gory, but maybe in general, in terms of what they're willing to do, maybe. But again, it depends, because I think there are still some crazy shit they've done. But obviously, the Glenn's death is the darkest thing they've ever done, probably. Just in terms of how much they showed of it and everything like that. Like, that was, yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, I love that scene, episode 5, too, yeah. The guy from the small group says it's very hard to think right now, and Rick replies with the gun, well, how about you just listen? That was cool. Who says they resolved all conflict. Well, again, the episode makes it seem that way. Regardless of if that's actually the case or not, the episode does not imply that there is more conflict. They do not imply that at all. They basically just say, yeah, we're like, everything's fine. Anybody saying there still is serum, those are our theories and our ideas, and just realistically using our brains to think about what has led up to this point, that there has to be more out there, which is true, but that's not how the episode presents itself. That's basically what I'm saying. What's more important to you in a series, dialogue or action or pacing or story or realism or intensity? All those things are probably equally as important. I think writing is the most important thing, just general like writing, whether it's dialogue or just the plot, the story. But yeah, all those things are really important. I just saw your COD Zombies videos and didn't know you played. So happy you've been playing zombies for a decade now. Thank you. Yeah, I love making zombies videos. It's honestly one of the main thing I do on that channel is just COD zombie stuff, and that's what I've been doing longer than even The Walking Dead. I've been playing that. I'm playing that game since 2008. It's just crazy. But yeah, we'll probably never know that Lance was a serum spy. There's a lot of things we'll probably just never know. Like, we're probably never gonna know what happened to Heath. We're probably never gonna know what PPP actually means. We're probably never gonna know anything with Silas. There's a lot of stuff I think they're just never gonna follow up on, which is unfortunate. But let's see. Let's hope they do. Let's hope they do. I'll give them the chance to. I don't know. I don't know. Do you think Daryl will stay single forever? At this point, I think he should. To be honest, I don't. There's been too many characters they've written to like be a love interest, and they just don't go through with it. So at this point, just like leave it as is. Have him just be a single man. I don't know. I think it's fine that way. Their best opportunity was obviously Connie, but then they just didn't really go through with it. So I'm just gonna say probably just don't do it. You know. I think Negan could die, but I don't want to see Negan die before he gets to reunite with Rick, though. Unless that already happened before Dead City, which again would be dumb, but that might have happened. I don't know. The 6-year time skip is, yeah, it doesn't work. I don't know why they did it. They didn't have to. They literally could have had it be set a year later. I don't know why they had to make it so long forward. Don't know. Yeah, I do think episode 1 was the best one throughout the whole series. It was so good. I hope they get Emmy awards, Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrero. I feel like The Walking Dead like never gets recognized for anything, but let's hope it does. They get recognized for their like makeup, I think, and like prosthetics, but they got to get noticed for other stuff too. It deserves it, whether it's for the soundtrack or the acting or something. Yeah, Laurent and Isabel. I hope they get to join Commonwealth after Daryl Dixon show. I hope so. I mean, why did Rick leave in the first place? Does anyone know? Has Andrew Lincoln ever said why? Yeah, just to be with his family more. He said he just wanted to spend more time with them. He felt bad because he was always away from home, and this allowed him to spend more time there. And because he was only filming the ones who lived for like 5 or 6 months, he got a lot more time with his family. And yeah, so that's why he just don't want to do this anymore. And I don't blame him for that. You know, it makes sense. That's why I don't think they should do a million more seasons of The Ones Who Live. Because yeah, he wants to spend more time with his family, but just do a movie. Movie would be easy to film. It would take probably 2 months, 3 months, or something like that. I don't think it would take too long to film. And then obviously the editing and post production would take longer, but the filming itself would only be a couple months. And have that be the definitive end of Rick Grimes. And Zeke, thank you so much for the 5. I think am I saying your name right? And Zeke. Thank you for the £5 donation. Hi, I love your channel, mate. Do you ever reckon you'll do a ranking of all 177 episodes, plus or minus the spinoffs? Love from the UK. Thank you so much for the donation, man. But hold on. Let me pull something up real quick for you. Hold on. Let me just pull this up real quick. You see this video right here? I highly recommend you check it out. Already done it. Now, I don't expect everyone to know every video that I've ever posted, but I have already done it actually. It's actually one of my favorite videos I've ever posted. So highly recommend you check it out. It's a great video. It unfortunately got age restricted, so you have to have an account where you say you're above the age of 18. Couldn't really do anything about that, but it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. So get ready to watch a long video if you're interested. But yeah, I don't think I'll do it again though. So I saw some people asking before, like, are you going to do that ranking again and include the spinoff episodes? I'm like, I don't know about that, man. I might do a ranking of all the spinoff episodes, like just 18 episodes of the sequel spinoffs, but I don't think I'll rank all of them again because I already did that video. It took me like 80 hours to make, so I'm probably going to leave it at that. But yeah, I appreciate it. Trying to like go over this argument between Ghost Type and Ghost Plasma because I mean, I can't spend too much time reading it because it's a lot. I think that if they reboot it, it should be a cartoon or anime. Oh, let me rephrase myself. When I said reboot, I don't mean reboot the story. I don't want to see these characters rebooted ever again. When I say reboot, I say do another Walking Dead show in a new Walking Dead universe, but with new characters. Don't have the same characters, new original characters, or do the Clementine series and adapt that. It should never be, I don't want to see a new Rick Grimes. There's no point. That just doesn't make sense. But if they do it, yeah, then the cartoon would be fine. Have it more accurate to the comics. That'd be cool too, sure. Yeah. Is there someone you wished to appear in the show? Heath. Honestly, fucking Heath or Morgan or something. As much as I am happy with Rick's ending, I really want to see him reunite with a redeemed Negan, Daryl, and some of the other mains. Agreed. Definitely would love to see that in the future. None of the spin-offs have amazing finales, to be honest. I like the Daryl Dixon finale a lot. It wasn't amazing, I think, but I think it was pretty good. Dead City's finale was okay. I think episode 4 was the best in Dead City, though. Was it episode 4 that was the best one? I forget. Which one was the really good one? It might have been episode 4. I don't know. Not a lot of finales have been bad, if we're going to be honest. You ghost boys are funny. Back in the days of season 8, I was sure they were going to do a reverse Rick death where Rick kills Daryl, who would be there instead of Dwight at the Commonwealth. I would have hated that, but I could see why people thought that was going to happen, but I would have hated that. I would have despised that. It would have been so out of character for both of them. Even if they built it up properly, I don't think that would have worked. All right, Ghost Plasma, you got to be a little more respectful than that. Don't be calling him names and shit. I'm not sure if he called you stuff first, but no one. I guess he was calling you names too. Never mind. Both of you, stop calling each other shit. Come on, stop. Be respectful. You can argue in a nice way. All right, no mean arguing. One of you got to be the bigger person and just be nicer. That's all I'm saying. Come on, do it for your own mental health and sanity. Please. Do you think they had spies in France? Probably. They had something research-wise going on there, so yeah, I think so. I'm about to put you both in a timeout. I will have to do it. Wait, actually, could I do that? Yeah, you actually could do that, but I won't do it. I bet Hornsby at the end was trying to get the Commonwealth train to go to CRM like Jadis. Exactly what I think. I think they were already sending people there because why were they collecting people in the first place like that? They didn't really make that clear. So I think they were being sent to CRM, which makes it even less sense because why hasn't CRM gone to Commonwealth yet? You feel like they probably would have by now. I know only certain people probably knew about it because they're spies, right? So I doubt that most of CRM knew about Commonwealth, but you think some of them would, you know? Maybe that's why they didn't. But then it also goes against their whole philosophy because why wouldn't they attack them? You know, why wouldn't they just take people and just call it a day? Why do they have to take them little by little? I don't know. Maybe there was more going on than what meets the eye. I want to learn all that though. You know, and I'm worried they never will. There was a lot of rumors that one of the deciding factors for Andrew Lincoln leaving was Carl's death. He hated that direction for the story. See, I disagree with that because sure, maybe it was a deciding factor, but I just don't see that being the case for a lot of reasons. First of all, he was planning to leave since season 4. There was a whole article talking about where he said he had to talk with Gimple in like season 4, and he was talking about how he wanted to see his family more. And you know, Gimple laid out a plan for the story and said that like, you know, there will be come a time where we probably could write your character out. And then eventually they decided season 8 was going to be the time for it, but something convinced him to do a couple more episodes in season 9, which is why he left in season 9. And I think it had nothing really to do with the Carl's death. I think he already agreed to do that regardless. It's just conveniently like or coincidentally happened right after the death. But I don't think those things necessarily correlated. Also because Scott Gimple was the one who decided Carl's death, right? Why would he be so mad at Carl's death and then be like, okay, I'm going to do a story with you, Gimple. I'm going to work with you in the next project, you know? I mean, sure, he can disagree with it and then still do a project with Gimple, but some people thought he had like a big issue with Gimple or something. Like, but why would he agree to doing a movie with him then and then eventually turning into a show? Why would he agree to do that if he just hated what Gimple did? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think it had anything to do with Carl's death. And actually, would that probably convince him even more to stay? Because he would be like, well, shit, the show might need me more than ever if they're going to get rid of Carl. You know, I feel like I kind of need to be here longer, you know? So I don't know. I have no idea. But I don't think it was because of Carl's death. But I could see why people thought that, though. I know you said 10 episodes would be the best amount, but what about the runtime for an episode? Would you rather 30 to 45 or definitely 50 to 60 minutes? No, 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 no. 30 to 45 is not enough. Actually, well, 45 is like the minimum for me. If it's any less than 45, it's a problem. Or any less than 40, it's a problem. I think 50 is like the perfect amount. 50 minutes is good. But it depends again on the show. It depends what the material is. Some shows need more, some shows need less. It just depends. Um I still find it cool how in the comics they had planned for to have a fight with Negan before Negan met Rick, and that's how he got the scar, but sadly they scrapped it. I'm not sure what you meant there. Fight with Negan before Negan met Rick? I would love to see Come in Dead City as a new character. Who are you trying to say? Because I don't know who this. I'm not sure what you're saying there. You plan for Come to have a fight with Negan. Who's Come? I'm sorry. It's just that's not a character's name as far as I know. Are you trying to say Carol? Maybe. No. Unless you're just trying to get me to say that word. I don't know. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. As a Rick and Michonne fan, I loved it. As a Walking the Universe fan, I wish the serum took more from us before the happy ending. Yeah, I could see that. I need another Rick and Daryl hug. Hell yeah. I would have liked to see Alden get Dwight's comic death at the end of the main show. Yeah, that could have worked. I don't think we needed his Dwight's comic death, but yeah, if they were gonna do it, I think a lot of characters could have fit it. To be honest, I think the original Walking Dead is more cinematic, bigger with their specific standout episodes. Well, they had more battles, but the thing is I don't think the quality was as high because the budget was higher. I think they were able to do more with the money they had in the show. But they didn't. Yeah, they didn't have any battles in The Ones Who Live. I mean, where were they gonna have a battle though? Because I mean, Rick and Michonne versus who? Like, they could have had smaller scale battles. Maybe they probably should have, but they didn't really have too much of that. Do you think Portland retaliates against the CR since they found out what happened to Omaha and almost them? That's what I'm saying. They could easily write a CRM Civil War. They could easily do it. Easily. Something convinced Andrew Lincoln to do 4 episodes in season 9. Yeah, a bag full of money. I don't know, man. Technically 5 episodes in season 9, but no, yeah, I'm sure that they weren't happy. But I mean, the thing is, who's ever going to be happy? The thing is with TV shows, it's like when you kill off a character, that's the same as the character getting fired, like the actor getting fired, right? So of course, no one's going to be happy about it. No one's going to be thrilled, like, oh yes, Glenn got killed off. Steven Yeun is leaving the show. Like, no one's ever going to be happy about it. They're always going to be like, oh no, I wanted to do more with them. Like, of course. But it's the story comes first, though. Like, that's the whole point. They all know they're actors. They're doing a job where they could get killed off at any point if it's what the story calls for, right? So they can be upset about it. They always are going to be upset about it. But I don't think that means they hold any sort of negative opinions or feelings towards Scott Gimple or even the show as a whole, because it's a TV show, things happen. And I think the actors are aware of that, like they could be upset at it, but they also like that's always going to happen. I don't think there's any character death they're ever going to be thrilled about, But I think that's a hard decision the writers have to make. They have to make sure. I honestly think that's one of the reasons I think they got to be a little more, they got to plan these things out more in advance, because sometimes deaths come out of nowhere. And I feel like, no, but then you would avoid, I feel like that's how they avoid spoilers. I feel like the reason they tell people right before it happens is usually to avoid them spoiling it. Because let's say they were to have the whole show planned out before it even happened, then like, which never happens in any show really, but then you have this situation where, like the actor knows they're going to die at a certain point. What if they accidentally spoil it? You know what I mean? And that's like the writer's worst nightmare. So I don't know. It's honestly harder than that. Sorry, I meant Clem. Oh, you meant Clementine. Oh, bro, I was like, who are you talking about? Oh, so let me read your thing again. I would love to see Clem. Oh, you wanted Clementine in Dead City. Oh, but then you said in the comics they plan to have Clem to come to fight with Negan. Really? I never heard about that. I would love to see Clementine in the show. I would, but I would prefer to see them adapt her story from start to finish. Like I'm talking from her being a kid, 8-year old, 9 years old or whatever, to an adult, like a whole 8 season television series of that. I don't want them to just bring her in the show already being a grown woman. Like I want them to show her journey through a whole series focused just on that. Don't focus on any other parts of the Walking Dead universe. And honestly, if they do that, I want that to be something they do in a few years, like after they finish these characters' stories, like after they finish all these spinoffs, then just focus on that, you know? Designation 2, Connie's designation to be sent far a ways on the train to be never seen again is likely trading A's and B's to the serum for supplies. Exactly, yeah. There's a photo board of missing people. Yeah, and exactly. At the Commonwealth, which is likely traded peace people. Also, if you remember, nobody notices, but Hornsby had a group of secret soldiers in black, which could be soldiers sent by Serum. Yep, exactly. A lot of people called me crazy when I said the Commonwealth and Serum probably were working together in some way, and that's exactly how they probably were working together. And I'm really mad they didn't ever really go into detail with it because it's like we kind of have to, you know, it's important stuff. I guess they want us to theorize on stuff. They want us to spend all this time theorizing, but I want to get confirmation at some point. Do you think we could ever get a cure for the walkers and have a proper wrap up for the entire universe? I hope not. I never want to see there be a cure. Never. The closest to the cure I ever want is what they did in Fear the Walking Dead already, where they found a way to cure the walker bite just by like the radioactivity or whatever from the nuclear waste. So I forget what it was exactly, but they found a way to do it. It's just it'll kill you probably, you know. Um, there's definitely ways to do it. Just don't have the walkers just never be a problem again, though. No, no, no. So yeah, I don't really think I have much more to say. I'm probably gonna end the stream soon. We've been streaming for more than 2 hours. Damn. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be ending this real soon. Um, I enjoyed the show a lot, but was a bit upset at the fact that we didn't get any updates in the World Beyond Grouper and Heath. Yeah, like I said, it is hard because it's only 6 episodes, and obviously Rick and Michonne being the focus, you need to spend most time on them. So a lot of me thinks that yeah, maybe this season should have been longer. Maybe there should have been 2 seasons. Maybe there should have been I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't know at this point. I'm still happy with the show. I'm very happy with it. I think it was a really solid show. And seeing Rick again, Rick and Michonne again for the first time in years was fantastic all the way through. Even though I had disappointments here and there, it was a fantastic show at the end of the day. It really was. Can we talk about how cringe it was when Rick was talking to his kids? I don't think it was cringe. It felt like the lines were missing because I had no idea what on earth Judith and him were talking about. No, I actually know what you mean when you say that, but it's you have to listen to it really closely. He said that he felt alone. It's something about him feeling alone, but he realized he wasn't alone. That's what he was saying. But yeah, there was some vagueness to it, which probably is what made it sound confusing. But I think it did make sense. You just really got to specifically listen to what he's saying. What do you think went wrong with the TS19 season 1 finale? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, really. I just didn't like it too much. I don't know. It wasn't like a bad episode. It's just not my favorite. Like the group, the whole thing of the CDC was interesting. We learned a lot about the world at that point, but I don't think it's better than this episode though. I can't witness Lee's death again. Dude, but imagine how good that could be. Oh my god, like if it was put to screen adapted. Oh my god, man. I've been uh, it's like I would do anything to like literally have that be a thing, you know? Oh my god, man. Like the amount of ideas I've had for it over the years. Oh. Cuz the game was great and all, but like there were so many problems with it throughout the entirety of it. Just being able to fix those problems in a TV series would be fantastic. Imagine they made a Telltale The Walking Dead, but TV show just like The Last of Us. Yep, exactly what I've been saying. It's the perfect time to do it too. It would be so fucking good. Have you heard instead of Negan being the first villain in the comics after Alexandria, it was supposed to be Alexander Davidson coming back for revenge after faking his death? What? Hold on, I gotta look this up because honestly, I oh, you're talking about hit. Oh, see, I completely forgot who this was. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't read the comics in ages, bro. So I was like, who the fuck is Alexander Davidson? But I had to look it up. I totally forgot who this even was. I'll be honest, I just completely forgot. Because he wasn't in the show, so I was just like, I don't remember who that was, but yeah, I do know. I feel like he was. I'm glad he wasn't the villain, because. Oh my god! All right, I was like reading that. I was like, who is that? It sounds familiar, but I was like, I don't know who that is. My biggest issue is the fact that we've seen Rick drive stick shift before. Oh no, yeah, some people misinterpreted that scene. He it's not that he couldn't. I actually did too when I first saw it. It's not that he can't drive stick shift. It's that he doesn't have the arm to do it. Like he couldn't do it with one arm. I think that was like the joke they were making. You should collaborate with the Thrifty Typewriter. Oh, he's got great videos. That'd be cool. I don't do videos like him though. He does very like video essays type stuff. I feel like I've never done something like that. I do stuff like that on my other channel with Call of Duty Zombies, but I've never done that on this channel. I should do it though. That'd be cool. What about a Chet crossover in season 2? They're all like season 2. If they did, I would like for them to add more to the show, like have Clem in it. I'd rather have an animated adaptation of the Clementine show. See, I disagree because the show, the game's already animated, you know. So I feel like the intrigue in seeing that brought to live action, I feel like would be a little more interesting to me. But I mean, animated would still be better than nothing, I guess. Who would you cast as Lee, Clem, and Kenny? So I have actually talked about this before. I'll tell you right now. So this is who I would cast as Lee. I don't have a casting for everyone, but here's who I would cast as Lee. 100%. No doubt about it. Yaha Abdul Manti II. This man, 100% would be a perfect Lee. I mean, just look at this. Does this not look like Lee to you? He's got the chin. He's got the look. He's the perfect age for it too. He's a great actor. There's one picture where he really, really looks like Lee. I don't know. Maybe this one. I don't know. I think he'd be a solid Lee. Perfect age. And honestly, I don't really have a good Kenny, but I've thought of Ethan Hawke, but like, I don't really know because Ethan Hawke's a little too popular, but like, I feel like he could pull it off. You can't really see because my face is covering it, but I'll put me away actually. Hold on. Like, I feel like he could pull it off, the look. I don't know. Then again, I have no idea. Like that right there. That to me looks like it could work as Kenny, right? I don't know. And then Clementine, I don't have an idea because Clementine's an 8-year-old girl. Like I don't really know any your child actresses like that. I feel like Clementine would have to be someone a no name. It would have to be someone new, like a new actress, because I mean, I like I said, there's not many child actresses. You don't really know them, or actors. You don't really know them that well because they're kids. They're not in that many projects yet. You know, they're so young. And at this point, if you wanted this series to come out in the next couple of years, that person would probably only be like 6 years old right now. Like I have no idea. It would have to be a really important casting though. It would be the most important casting of all time because you're casting someone who has to stay for 8 seasons because it's not like a lot of different characters where yeah, you can kill them off at a certain point. No. This would have to be the Clementine series. It would be her going from, let's say, 10 years old. I know the show, she was like 8 when it started. The game started, she was 10. I would say, or no, the game, she was 8 when it started, right? I think just to make it work a bit better, the show would start when she's 10, and then it would be 8 seasons. She'd end when she's 18, right? That's a long period of someone's life, right? And it's a child, and that's obviously it's harder to work with child actors because of certain laws. So It'd be really hard to do. This is the main character of this series. You have to make sure this is a good actress who's going to be good all the way through. And you have to make sure this about when she's 9 years old. Like, that's a really hard thing to get, someone who's, is going to be good all the way up until the next 8 years. And you have to make sure they're going to stick around for it and they're going to be down to stick around for it. That's a really hard thing to do. So it's almost like Harry Potter. Like, you have to get them when they're around 10 years old and make sure they're going to stick around for 8 years. Like, that's hard. So it would be the hardest casting of all time, but if they could pull it off, man, that shit would be great. And it wouldn't just be the Clementine show. Obviously, Kenny's a big character too. You'd have to do a lot of that. Do you prefer the Walking Dead TV universe or comic universe? The TV universe. I just have more interest in it. Obviously, the comic stuff's cool too. I love the Walking Dead game as well, but I don't know. TV universe just... I also like live action stuff more in general, so... It would... I have a theory. Alexander Davidson morphed into Negan. Davidson was killed by Douglas because he groomed a woman who had many wives, Negan. Oh, yeah, so maybe they kind of turned... Yeah, that can make sense. I see what you mean. The voice is honestly more iconic than the look, though. For Lee or for Clementine? Yeah, the voices are iconic, but I also think that doesn't really mean you couldn't cast a new person with a different voice because it's an adaptation. Like, it's not like Star Wars where when they do animated shows, it's in the same universe, so they have to make sure the person lines up, and they still make it work. I mean, the Ahsoka actress for live action Ahsoka, it works. I think you can kind of see it. She does kind of sound like Ahsoka from the show in a weird way. But this is an adaptation, so they don't have to sound the same. So I don't think it would really matter, to be honest. But as long as you get someone close enough, it's fine, What's your favorite and true ending for The Walking Dead game season 12? Oh, Wellington. When Kenny leaves Clementine at Wellington 100%. Because that's the only ending where Kenny stays alive. So any ending where Kenny dies I'm not about it. So definitely that one. Have you heard about the Gen V actor that died recently? Yes, that was so sad. It's terrible to see that. I think it was a motorcycle accident. That was awful to hear about. My biggest issue is Rick chopping off his hand basically in front of the soldiers. I saw some people say that, like he was too close to them, and it kind of felt like weird how he did that so close. But I guess he had really no choice at that point. Didn't you think the acting was bad from the kids, the ones who live? No, I don't know. I talked about this before. I just don't think it really... I'm not going to critique child actors on that. Like, I don't know. It's just not worth it. They're kids. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I could see David Harbour as Kenny. Maybe. I also think he's a bit... I see what you're getting at here. I do see what you're getting at. That could work, but I personally wouldn't cast him. Honestly, I'd prefer no names more than anything, but I don't know the no names, so that's why if I fan cast it, I'm just going to fan cast the people I do know. I do think those two actors I mentioned would work in those roles, but I would prefer no names. Get some new people we've never seen in the industry before, and as long as they're good, obviously. If they ever make Telltale The Walking Dead series and have Bella Ramsey as Clem, I would be the most disappointed man. Well, I mean, she's like 20, so I don't think that would make sense to cast her as Clementine. You need to cast Clementine as like a 10-year-old girl. I mean, you should at least. That would not make any sense if she was suddenly 20 years old. I'd be like, what the fuck are we doing here? What do you think of Don Mancini talking about a Chucky in space, Chucky season 4? I didn't hear about that. I could see Tom Holland as Lee. Hell yeah. Have you played Red Dead Redemption 2? On my Expert Fusion 2 channel. Go check it out. I'm playing through it right now. Season 3 just right over the endings of Season 2, though. I was pissed. Personally, if they were to do this adaptation, a lot of the stuff would be different. You would not have the same storylines for the most part. The only thing that would be very similar would, honestly, Season 1 would be closest because Season 1 was very well put together. I don't think you have to change too much. Season 2 would be very different, though. Very, very different. Season 3 and 4 as well, very, very different. I don't think it would be the same as the games, but with the same ideas, the same characters and everything like that. But it would be very different. I will continue your Walking Dead adaptation series legacy currently on the 400 Days Doc storyline, Season 3 of my adaptation. That's cool. I'm glad you're doing it. I always wanted to. Honestly, one day maybe I will, but I probably wouldn't do videos for it. I would just like release the writing of it or something and just be like, "Oh, you guys want to read this or something?" I don't know. Um, I might write scripts for it too. I wanted to write like a whole ass script for like the first episode or something. That'd be cool. I have ideas for it. I've had so many ideas, even the seasons I didn't do yet. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Isn't Clem Asian? Why would they cast Bella as Clem? Clem's actually ethnicity would be hard to get down because I believe her mother, she is part, I know she's part Asian, definitely, but I think she's also, I forget what it is. Hold on. Because they show Clementine's parents. But I would prefer that they do. I prefer when they would actually nail down the correct ethnicity as much as they can. They don't be exact with it, but as long as they were close to it, I feel like it would be good, you know. But it would be a hard one to get because I think it is a very specific thing. So I don't think they would have to. Yeah, she's partially African American too. She's yeah. Um yeah, her mother's Asian. I'm not sure what specifically, but her father is African American. A lot of people don't know that. So that is a very specific ethnicity, and there's definitely enough child actresses out there that would apply to that. But I don't. It wouldn't be easy though. But that's what I would prefer if they were to, you know, do it. Maybe we could finally find out what happened to Krista. Oh, I would personally, I wouldn't have ever written Krista out of the story like that. Well, actually, I probably would have, but I would have her return very soon after, probably at Wellington or something. Yeah, so she's half Asian, half, well, again, Asian, but I don't know specifically which. I don't know if it was. I have no idea. I don't think they specified, to be honest, because it's a little picture of her mom in her house. Like it's hard to. It's an animated character. It's hard to tell. You know, all we know is it's Asian. That's all we know. And then her father was African American, according to the developers, I believe. So she's biracial. You know. It is hard to tell because they're animated characters and it's a very specific type of animation style that is hard to see what the ethnicity is on a character. Very, very hard. It's a very specific animation style, you know. Remember you said you'd be fine with 5 million per episode for Telltale's The Walking Dead adaptation? I did say that years ago though. I said that ages ago. Nowadays, with inflation and everything, no, you got to have a higher budget for things, I feel like. I probably said the $5 million thing. I probably said that ages ago. I don't think that would be a good budget. It wouldn't be terrible. I just wouldn't prefer it. In defense of The Walking Dead season 3, I don't think it was bad, but I definitely think it was my least favorite. But it had its moments. It was pretty cool. You think season 2 was the worst? I like season 2, but I can understand that. I don't know how they leave so many characters' fates unknown. It's because of the whole choices thing, which is why I think a show could work so well because you wouldn't have that problem. You wouldn't have the problem of those like different choices kind of making so they force different directions for the story. Like I love that aspect of the games. Don't get me wrong. I love making choices, but it does restrict them in so many ways though. And that's one of the biggest issues with the show, with the game. Krista should have been instead of Lily in terms of returning. Yeah. I mean, they both should have returned. I'm glad Lily did. That was really cool. Yeah, they did have Krista returning as a plan. I did see that, but as the villain would have been so stupid. I would have hated that. Like, why would she be a villain all of a sudden? At least Lily felt like she could be a villain. Did you prefer Daryl or the ones who live? Definitely the ones who live. But Daryl was still good too. The show was good too. Okay, I have to go. I had to end the stream now. It's been going on for so long. I got to use the bathroom again, and I got to go eat. I'll see you all later. Thank you all so much for watching. I have a lot of videos planned regarding the Walking Dead universe in the next few days, including a ranking of all the Walking Dead shows and a couple other things as well. And obviously other videos as well. If you are a fan of Godzilla and King Kong, I just posted a video today ranking all of the Godzilla and King Kong movies, all like 40 of them or something, at least most of them. I think I left out like a couple of the movies that I physically couldn't watch, but I did most of them. I really really hope you guys can check that out if you're interested. If you're not interested, then don't check it out. But if you are, check it out. It took me a while to work on that video. So yeah, um, my biggest grudge with the Telltale games was the illusion of choice. Yeah, that was the biggest issue a lot of people had. That's actually way more than enough for a Telltale The Walking Dead adaptation. The original games were season two. It's not about scale though. If you want a higher budget, you're gonna get better quality though. That's the thing. You're gonna have better work on it. Or whatever. I can talk about this for hours, but I physically can't. So I'll see you all later. Thank you for watching. Peace out.